I want to begin by thanking President Trump for.
Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gives remarks in the Oval Office after being sworn in as Secretary of Health and Human Services. For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning and prayed that God would put me in a position where I could end the childhood chronic disease epidemic. Here we go.
I want to begin by thanking President Trump for giving me this extraordinary opportunity. And I want to introduce my family and thank them for being here. My wife, Cheryl, my cousin, Anthony Shriver, my daughter, Kik, my other daughter, Kira, Catalina Shriver, Joey Shriver, Jackson Hines, and Amaryllis Kennedy. And I want to thank all of you for your support and throughout this whole 2.5-year journey. My first time in this Oval Office was in 1961, and I came here to meet or 1962. I came here and I had a meeting with my uncle, who was president then, where we talked about the environment. He was involved deeply, as we all know, in restoring physical fitness in this country. He challenged at one point during his administration, he challenged Americans to do a 50-mile walk, which I ultimately did. But I remember the day that my father completed his walk. We were staying up at Camp David, and my father came in after 18 hours walking on the C&O towpaths with his feet bleeding and blisters on them. My father had one of his best friends was Al Lowenstein. And Al Lowenstein ultimately was a congressman from New York who was assassinated himself in 1980. But Al Lowenstein had started the Dump Johnson movement to get rid of President Johnson and end the Vietnam War. And at the time that he started it, people just thought it was a fool's errand. And ultimately, he asked my father to run for president against Johnson. My father wouldn't do it at that time, and he asked Gene McCarthy. McCarthy did it, and he joined that campaign. And my father ultimately ran, and Johnson then dropped out. So Al Lowenstein succeeded. And although Al Lowenstein was on the other side now, running against my father with Gene McCarthy, my father wrote him a note, a quote from Emerson, where he said, if a single man plant himself firmly on his own ideal and there abide, the whole wide world will come round to him. For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump. And he gave me...
God sent me President Trump.
He's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, that I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. And I'm so grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country at a time when we see all of the indicia of democracy now in tatters in our country. We see the rise of the military-industrial complex, the rise of totalitarianism, these attacks on our Constitution, and this breathtaking epidemic that is disabling our people. President Trump has promised to restore the American dream in this country. A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one. 60% of our population has only one dream, that they get better. President Trump has promised that he's going to restore America's strength. But we can't be a strong nation if we have a weak citizenry. If people are sick, 60% of our people are sick.
Dream big or dream...
As President Trump mentioned, our children cannot qualify for military service. And we need a man on a white horse now. We need somebody who is willing to come in and has the spine and the guts and the strength to challenge orthodoxies, to stand in the way of vested interests, and to break institutions that have turned against our democracy. President Trump has shown again and again that he is that hero. And most recently, I greatly appreciate it, and I called you the day that you announced the termination of USAID. My uncle started USAID in 1961 for humanitarian purposes, to put our country on the side of the poor. It has been captured by the military-industrial complex. It has become a sinister propagator of totalitarianism and war across the globe. And very few people understand how sinister this agency really is. And President Trump saw that, and he stood up to it with a masterstroke.
Given how many presidents, ever since USAID was brought up, and then the different presidents that came in and then did stuff with it, we don't know what they changed inside of it sometimes, right? Because they don't tell us some of that stuff. So it's like, what did George W. Bush do with that stuff? Right, the USAID system. What did Obama? Right, and then Obama came in and was doing stuff with it too. Right. So it's like when it changes hands so many times, you do have to wonder what the fuck they're doing.
And we want to do the same thing with the institutions that are stealing the health of our children.
Every time
we need a revolutionary figure, and you are that figure, and I'm very grateful for you for giving me this opportunity. I want to recognize some of the allies that I've had in this battle for a long time. Senator Rand Paul, Senator Ron Johnson, Senator Roger Marshall,
Health and Human Services,
and Buddy Carter,
Secretary.
who've all been champions of the MAHA agenda before I even came along. I'm very grateful for you for standing strong. Thank you very much, President Trump.
Hey. Like, what are you doing? You didn't even... You forgot a handshake, Trump, brother. Oh, okay. Great speech. Maha. This was a truly historic moment. Make America history. Historical. Country's history. I'm so thankful I'm alive to witness it. Looking forward to all the Bobby Kennedy is going to be able to do to help America become healthy again. Make America healthy again. Surrealist put Kennedy back in the White House. Credit to someone else who said that, but I don't recall where I read it. Actually, the American people wanted this, and Trump listened and kept his word. Yeah, basically. I prayed, and God sent me President Trump. So happy for America and Secretary Kennedy. To God be the glory. For the Imperium. Oh, the Empire. Alright, and there we have it. Mr. RFK Jr. is now our HHS. He is going to make everyone healthy again. Alright, let us see what happened over here in India land.
You're smart.
He's smart.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Prime.
Okay, so we have our elected officials here, and then we have the India's elected officials and ambassadors and stuff.
Minister Modi of India. He is a great friend of mine for a long time. We've had a wonderful relationship, and we kept the relationship during the 4-year period the period. It was a very interesting period indeed. I watched. I got to see how not to do things, and we've just started up again, and we have, I think, some very big things to talk about. Number one is they're going to be purchasing a lot of our oil and gas. We have more oil and gas than any other country in the world by far, and they need it, and we have it. And we're going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about many things, but it's really an honor to see you, and you've been my friend for a long time, and congratulations on having done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
बहुत समान पर महसूस हो रहा है।
Thank you very much.
खुशी कि आज फिर आप यहाँ पर आए हैं और हम पिछले 4 साल आपसे हमारी बात हुई है और हम उस रिश्ते को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं जो 4 साल हमने पहले बढ़ाया है। और ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और रुचिकर समय आने वाला है हमारे साथ दोनों देशों के लिए। आपने देखा है कि हमारे पास बहुत कुछ करने को है अभी। पहली बात है तेल और गैस की बात है, और हमारे पास काफ़ी तेल और गैस है और आप इंडिया में इसकी ज़रूरत है जो हम देंगे। बाद में बात आती है ट्रेड की, व्यापार की, और इसके अलावा हमें बहुत खुशी है और बहुत ही हमारे लिए एक सम्मान की बात है कि मेरे एक मित्र आज वापस यहाँ आए हैं और उनसे मिलकर मुझे बहुत खुशी है।
Would you like to say anything more?
No, I'm okay.
एक्सेलेंसी, मैं सबसे पहले तो फिर एक बार आपको यहाँ पर देख करके और आपको यहाँ पर मिल करके बहुत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। मैं आपके इस भव्य विजय के लिए
Oh no!
आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। न सिर्फ मेरी तरफ से, 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की तरफ से आपको मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ और बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ।
Your Excellency, I'm delighted to see you back in the White House and to meet with you today in this room. On behalf of 1.4 billion people of India, let me convey my heartiest congratulations to you on your grand and historic victory.
ये बहुत ही सुखद संयोग है कि भारत
Oh,
की जनता ने
interpreters. I see. I was like,
60 साल के बाद किसी प्रधानमंत्री को तीसरी बार लगातार देश
they don't have the like the audio earpiece interpreters for India. They only had it for Japan.
की सेवा करने का अवसर दिया है।
I guess because the language in India, right, is more broken up into like different, right? There's different languages that some of those people speak.
और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि मुझे इस कार्यकाल में
And it's like they have different. I don't even know if they've
फिर एक
made
बार
a like
कार्य
a
करने का
generalized
अवसर मिला है।
like
मैं
a
कह सकता हूं कि
system to teach people.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के पहले 4 वर्ष का मेरा जो अनुभव था, जो गर्मजोशी थी, जो उत्साह था, जो विश्वास था, वही गर्मजोशी, वही उत्साह, वही विश्वास के साथ हम फिर एक बार साथ मिलकर के आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Last year, the people of India gave me the opportunity to serve them for the 3rd consecutive time, and it has happened in the history of India in the last 60 years for the first time. And in this term, I will have an opportunity to work with you over the next 4 years, and it's a great pleasure to see the two coincide. And I can say from my past experience of working with you in your first term that we will continue to advance the India-US strategic partnership with the same warmth, with the same trust, and with the same excitement.
और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि आते ही राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने एक मित्र की तरह मुझे पुराने अहमदाबाद के स्टेडियम की याद दिलाई। ये बात सही है कि ह्यूस्टन में हाउडी मोदी और गुजरात में अहमदाबाद में नमस्ते ट्रंप, वो दो एक ऐसी बहुत बड़े विशाल कार्यक्रम रहे जिसकी गूंज आज भी भारत के हर कोने में सुनाई दे रही है।
I'm happy that as soon as I entered this room, my friend reminded me of Ahmedabad and the cricket stadium where we held the big rally, and the events that we did, the mega events that we did in Ahmedabad, Namaste Trump, or the Howdy Modi in Houston. We had conveyed a very strong message of our friendship through those events, and the resounding echo of those events can be heard even today in India and the world.
भारत अमेरिका संबंधों को प्रगाढ़ बनाने में, उसको एक नई ऊंचाई देने में और व्यापकता देने में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की पहली टर्म की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है और मुझे विश्वास है कि दूसरे टर्म में भी हम उसी गति से आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Excellency, you've made immense personal contribution towards strengthening of our relations, towards making them more.
I don't know why they use excellency for some reason. I guess they hold any. I guess it's just the whole respect.
Comprehensive and
Yeah, it's the same with
attaining
Japanese people.
unprecedented
They
heights
do.
in our
They
relationship.
use certain
And I
language
firmly
too.
believe
And
that in your second term we will work with even more speed.
और मैं जैसे भारत के नागरिकों को
why do
वादा
people
किया है
talk like this?
कि मैं तीसरे
Talking
टर्म में
in like
3
old
गुना गति
English.
से काम करूंगा।
Stop it.
और मुझे विश्वास है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ आने वाले 4 वर्ष
Ye
हम
old
भारत
English.
अमेरिका के संबंधों की गति में 2 गुना गति से काम करेंगे।
As I had promised to the people of India that in my third term as the Prime Minister of India, we will work with thrice the speed. I firmly believe that with President Trump, during the next 4 years, during his second term, we will work with twice the speed that we did in the first term.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप से एक बात हमेशा अप्रिशिएट करता आया हूं, सीखता आया हूं कि वे राष्ट्रहित को सर्वोपरि रख करके काम करते हैं। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की तरह मुझे भी भारत के हितों को सर्वोपरि रखते हुए
मुझे भी
कार्य करना
what
ये
the
मेरे लिए
hell?
सौभाग्य की बात है।
I'm so confused.
One thing that I deeply appreciate and I learned from President Trump is that he keeps the national interest supreme. And like him, I also keep the national interest of India at the top of everything else. And this has been my real fortune.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की जब भी बात आती है तब मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन हर किसी को याद आता है।
I understood that
हर
one.
किसी को उससे प्रेरणा मिलती है। वैसे ही भारत में विकसित भारत
I'm guessing he was like, "Oh, I like that movement of make America great again. I want to do that in India too."
के संकल्प के साथ 140 करोड़ देशवासियों का संकल्प उसको आज नई गति मिल रही है।
That sounds like
नई
a great
ऊर्जा मिल रही है।
idea.
President Donald Trump and Make America Great Again are inseparable. Whenever we talk about President Trump, one has to talk about Make America Great
Oh,
Again.
okay, that's-
Similarly, that vision inspires everybody. Similarly, in India, we have
Oh,
the
okay.
resolve of 1.4 billion people of India that by the time India reaches the 100th anniversary of its independence, we will make our country a developed country by 2047. And this is getting new speed and new resolve.
Oh. So he's
अमेरिका
even doing
विश्व
the
का
kind of the
सबसे
same
पुराना
thing, right?
लोकतंत्र भारत विशाल
So,
लोकतंत्र
yeah, it marks their 100th
और इसलिए
year anniversary. So it
हम
looks
दोनों
like
का
they're
मिलने का मतलब
doing a big
1
event
plus
and
1
some
2 नहीं।
big changes.
1 और 1 11 होता है और ये 11 की तख्ती वो ताकत विश्व के कल्याण के भी काम आएगी।
US is the world's oldest democracy, and India is the world's largest democracy. So when India and the US come together, they make 1 plus 1 11, and not 2. And this is the power of 11 that is going to work for the welfare of the humanity.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का मेरे एक अच्छे मित्र का
Yeah, I mean,
से आभार व्यक्त
I mean,
करता
if you're
कि हम फिर से एक बार
gonna bring a lot of,
प्रगति की राह पर
you're gonna
नई ऊंचाइयों को छूने के लिए
associate
चल
allies
पड़ेंगे।
and stuff.
I once
Well,
again
it's like
thank
what?
my friend,
How much does America
President
have?
Trump,
6.
and we
Well, it's
together
like what?
resolved that we will together march towards
6.4
progress and
billion,
towards
maybe a
prosperity
little
for all
bit more,
nations.
7,
Thank you.
like 8 billion now or something like that.
Thank you very much.
And then you have India's what?
He's doing a great
India's
job in India.
what did they
Everybody
say?
talks about it. He's
1.4
doing
billion or
a
what? Or
really
something like that. I
fantastic
forgot.
job. A great leader. Great leader.
मोदी जी बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं भारत में और हर कोई इसकी बात कर रहे हैं कि वे बहुत बड़े नेता हैं, बहुत महान नेता हैं।
मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूँ आपके इन शब्दों के लिए और मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत का हर नागरिक आपकी इस भावना का आदर करता है।
I thank you for your warm words, Mr. President, and I firmly believe that every person in India respects
Yeah,
you.
1.4 bill.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot.
Any questions, please?
So you're getting
You are both very popular leaders.
you're getting
in your
like what,
respective
9
countries.
or
You're
11
talking about
billion,
common sense,
close to 11 billion people.
doctrine. So what's the Trump-Modi
grouped up
doctrine
in
that
that.
we should expect communities today to make our world better and safer?
Well, I think more than anything else will be the unity. We have great unity. We have great friendship.
Oh,
he and I and our countries.
334 million.
And I
Sorry,
think
I'm
it's only
sorry.
going to get closer. But
Why did I say billion?
it's very important that we remain united as countries. We are.
So it'd be
we're
what,
friends and we're gonna stay that way.
1.7.
President Trump, how are you going to fight
Just
China
1.7 million
if you're
people.
going to be tough with India on trade? How are you going to beat China then?
We're in very good shape to.
And right, you have
beat
one
anybody we
democracy
want, but
from
we're not
the
looking to
Middle
beat
East
anybody.
and
We're looking to do
another
a really good
democracy
job
on the
of-
Western.
We've done a fantastic job for the American people. We had a great 4 years, and we were interrupted by terrible administration, absolutely terrible. They didn't know what they
Oh,
were doing,
India
and now
kinda-
we're putting it back together. And I think it's going to end
India's
up being
kind-
much
it's in the
stronger than it was
middle.
before, even much stronger than it was before.
It's middle-ish.
प्रधानमंत्री जी आप हमेशा से
May I? Yeah. President Trump,
may
first
I?
of all,
May I?
Congratulations for the fantastic 24 days of your presidency. Historic and unprecedented decisions that you made, transformational
Oh, I
reforms.
mean, this is
I'm
not
pat- I'm particularly impressed by the expose on USAID. And I would like you to share with us if you think USAID had a role in election interference in the US in 2020 and Indian elections in 2024.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it could
it's
have had a
like,
role. There were a lot of bad things that happened. In
yeah, how they break
2020.
up fucking the Middle East
I think
and
bad things
Asia.
happened in 2024, but it was too big to rig. We won by a tremendous margin.
Middle East.
We won every swing
basic-
state. We won the popular vote by millions of votes. So it was too big to rig. But,
Yemen, Saudi
yeah, I
Arabia.
think they probably tried. We're
Turkey.
looking to go to a system now much different, where one-day voting, voter ID,
Kazakhstan,
and
Pakistan,
we have to do that. And paper ballots. We want paper ballots.
Asia encompasses.
And when they
like,
do that, we're going to clean it up very,
know.
very well. But we had a great 2016. We had a much better 2020 election, but bad things happened. And we had the best of all. We had, they say, the most consequential in history, 129 years, most consequential. So it was a great election. And it gives me a chance to work again with the Prime Minister and India. And we're going to have a great relationship together.
Please pick me, please pick me. I want you to pick me. No, you don't pick. I pick you. Take it easy.
Do you see India playing a role in your plan to broker a peace in Ukraine? And if I could ask you about a development in your hometown today, the U.S. attorney has resigned over the DOJ's request to drop the case into Eric Adams. Did you personally request the Justice Department to drop that case?
No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. I did not. I think that, just to answer your other question, we're just going to get along well. We're going to get along with all countries. We're going to do very well. We're going to be doing, I think, record business, record numbers. And we're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce.
Yeah, I would understand that. It's to my assumption that I don't think a lot of these countries want to be swept up into the whole Ukraine fucking Russia war bullshit. If anything, I would assume that these countries like want to like stop it at all costs because they're fucking losing money too. Because well, they're probably doing trade deals over there too, right? So it's like, if you have those two countries at war, well, there's no trade deals going on, and your trade is kind of fucked up a little bit.
In the very near future.
Mr. Prime
प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बात की है आप दुनिया के अकेले ऐसे
Can you pick me back here, please?
प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन से मिले और आपको लग रहा है कि जिस शांति की बात आप करते आए थे उसमें अब भारत रूस यूक्रेन को युद्ध खत्म कराने के लिए अमेरिका के साथ मिलकर कोई नया रास्ता बना सकता है और दूसरा प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप भारत आने वाले हैं प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन भारत आने वाले हैं तो क्या भारत भूमि से शांति का संदेश जा सकता है And Mr. President, what you would like to say about the Bangladesh issue, because we saw and it is evident that how the deep state of United States
Wait, why did he just speak in his native language? And then he decided to speak English. Why would you do? Why didn't you just speak English for all your questions? Why did you just break up your questions into what?
State was involved regime change during the Biden administration.
That seems a little that seems a little suspicious.
And then Muhammad Yunus
Because you would only do that shit if you're trying to like make it confusing.
made Junior Soros also. So what is your point of view about the Bangladesh?
Soros, and what is the role that the deep state played in the situation in Bangladesh?
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time.
Oh, oh, wait, what? Bangladesh. What's happening in Bangladesh? Why are they bringing up Bangladesh? Did America do something in Bangladesh? The United States had a complex, sometimes controversial relationship with Bangladesh since its independence. Here are some key, okay. During Bangladesh's liberation war, 1971, the U.S. took a controversial stance. American diplomats, led by Consul General Archer Blood, reported atrocities committed by the Pakistani military against Bengali. Oh, is this like Benghazi and stuff? All right, civilians. Nixon had been ignored. These reports due to its alliance with Pakistan, which was serving as a channel to China. U.S. Congress imposed an arms embargo on Pakistan, but the Nixon White House secretly sent arms shipment to the Pakistani junta. When India intervened in December 1970, the U.S. dispatched an aircraft carrier to the Bay of Bengal. This incident relation. After Bangladesh gained independence, the U.S. formally recognized Bangladesh on April 4th, 1972, and pledged $300 million in aid. Diplomatic relations were established at the embassy level on May 18, 1972. U.S. has provided over $6 billion in aid through USAID since 1972. Oh, so that's probably why they're asking about Bangladesh stuff. Because we were helping Bangladesh. And then we just gutted the whole fucking USAID system. Well, I mean, they have to repurpose the USAID system, which I think they are going to do. It's just they need right. They're just planning on what to do with it next after they figure out all the fucking fucked up money expenditures that's going fuck all somewhere. Recent years, U.S. involvement in Bangladesh has included providing substantial COVID-19 assistance, including over 150 million vaccine doses, training for healthcare workers, imposing visa sanctions on Bangladesh officials for human rights concerns, which was criticized by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Continuing to well, I mean, to be frank, the whole COVID-19 stuff, right? They made America in certain areas have some weird rules where you have to have like a COVID vaccine. I don't know. I think it's more. I think that's like a federal thing for some reason. They need to fix that because that's fucking with a lot of shit. Continuing to provide security assistance to enhance Bangladesh's maritime security and disaster response capabilities. Yeah, the imposing visa sanctions on Bangladesh kind of fucked up. That's just me though. I mean, they already fucking put sanctions on their own citizens, right? Fucking, oh, you didn't get this COVID shot. Sorry, you're fucking fired. Oh, you didn't get this COVID documentation? Ah, sorry, can't let you in. You motherfuckers. U.S. has shown interest in Bangladesh due to its strategic location. There have been rumors about the U.S. wanting to establish a military base in Bangladesh, though this has not materialized. To join quadrilateral security dialogue, an alliance aimed at countering China's influence in the region. Oh yeah, well, that's what fucking. I mean, that's what all presidents tried to do. I would assume. Even fucking Obama and Bush.
Time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even our situation. I mean, all we can do is provide aid like we used to do, but even that, I don't even, like, what? I don't know what you want us to do. What, you want us to give you troops for something like that? Oh, fucking U.S. isn't gonna do that.
दुनिया का एक सोच रही है कि भारत न्यूट्रल है। भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है। भारत का अपना पक्ष है और भारत का पक्ष है शांति। हम पहले दिन से ही, और मैंने राष्ट्रपति पुतिन को उनकी मौजूदगी में मीडिया के सामने कहा था कि ये समय युद्ध का नहीं है, और मेरा एक कन्विक्शन है कि समस्याओं का समाधान युद्ध के मैदानों में नहीं निकलता है, वो टेबल पर चर्चा करके ही निकलता है।
As far as the Russia-Ukraine conflict is concerned, I'm very happy that President Trump has taken initiatives to restore peace and had telephone calls with President Putin and President Zelensky. The world had this thinking that India somehow is a neutral country in this whole process, but this is not true. India has a side, and that side is of peace. From the very first day, I have been talking about the importance of dialogue and diplomacy and a peaceful solution. And when I met President Putin in the presence of media, I had told him that this is not the era of war, and I have firm conviction that problems cannot be resolved on the battlefield. The two sides.
Well, I mean, you can
have to
still
come to
be
the negotiating table.
right, neutral and still be
शांति के हर
peaceful.
प्रयास का हम समर्थन करते हैं, और राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने जो इनिशिएटिव लिया है, मैं उनका हर सख्त समर्थन करता हूं।
Can you let him translate, please? Just wait.
I just want to add to that. We had a very good phone call yesterday with President Putin. It lasted maybe an hour and a half. It was excellent. And
Yeah,
I think we went a long way
that's yeah, that's another thing. There's a lot of journalists, and they're from different. I think some of them are from different countries, so they kind of act differently, and they act like fools, right? So, yeah. A lot of these guys are trying to get in a lot of questions, and they're fucking yelling at the top of their lungs.
Toward getting a solution to the horrible war where so many people are being killed, especially soldiers on the battlefield. At least 1.5 million soldiers have been killed on a ridiculous war that would have never happened if I were president. But we've got a long way to, I think we've got a long way to solving it. Tomorrow there's a meeting in Munich, and then next week there's a meeting in Saudi Arabia, not with myself or President Putin, but with top officials. And Ukraine will be a part of it too. And we're going to see if we can end that war. That war is a horrible war. It's a vicious, bloody war. We want to end it. To your other question, that U.S. attorney was actually fired. I don't know if he or she resigned, but that U.S. attorney was fired. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I have a question.
Mr. Prime Minister, okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Mr. President.
With China and in your broader vision for peace in the Middle East.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're doing very well in our competition with everybody. I think you're going to see a nation that really is going forward at a very rapid pace. Our economy is going to be fantastic. We're doing.
Is that
things to
someone's
make it
phone
better.
in the fucking back?
Some very big elements today of success. I call it an element of success.
Like, who the fuck? Turn off your fucking phone. You fucking idiots. You're literally trying to ask these political leaders, like, very, very serious questions, and you're doing all this sorts of shit. Like, what is wrong with people? Where's my house in the suburbs? Old man, you get none. You don't give a fuck about your fucking house. Your house will fucking burn to the ground.
Reciprocal tariffs, so that
You will forever live in a fucking hut.
Somebody charges
Because you
us
keep
just
asking
the
for a
same amount,
fucking house.
which has, never been done
You will
in our
get
country
none
before.
now.
We've always been taken advantage of by other countries, and we allowed that to happen foolishly. But we can, we're not going to allow that any longer. So I think we're going to do very well. We've been doing they say the last 3 weeks was among the best 3 weeks ever.
Fuck your house. Your house will burn to the ground. As soon as you get a house, someone's gonna burn it to the ground because you're a shithead.
People are really amazed. Even the Prime Minister mentioned it.
Fucking
I think
little
other countries are
shitter.
looking at it. But I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is a terrific man. We're going to make some wonderful trade deals for India and for the U.S. And thank you all very much. Thank you.
But I did not get any answers. I did not get any questions answered. Fuck you, Mr. President. Fuck you. Fuck you, President.
Gotta stand up.
Why the fuck are you like this, Mr. Trump? Mr. President Trump, you fucked me. You fucked my couch. You fucked my mother. You fucked my dog. You fucked my dog. Why would you fuck my dog? God damn it, I'm sorry.
Look at the tariffs, but we're also
Thanks for your signature.
Alright, we're going to see. So he does this one. But he does another White House press briefing. I think he did this first. And then he did the other thing. Allah Akbar? That's the wrong place. That's the Middle East, brother. This is India.
Welcome the Prime Minister of India, my friend, Narendra Modi, back to the White House. And he spent a lot of time here and a lot of time in India. And he's a very special man. Prime Minister, it is a pleasure to extend to you the same hospitality that you showed Melania.
In India, they
and
burn
myself
themselves.
When we traveled to your beautiful country 5 years ago, it's hard to believe.
They
so
don't
long
bomb
ago.
themselves.
It seemed like yesterday. It was beautiful. We opened the cricket
And they
stadium,
they starve
129,000
themselves, they
seats,
burn
the largest stadium in the
themselves.
world. And it was
What else?
an incredible period of time. There is truly
Yeah,
a
no,
special
that's-
bond
yeah.
between the United States and India.
They don't
the world's
suicide
oldest
by
democracy,
bombing
the
like
world's
that.
largest democracy, and I believe the world's largest country in terms of the numbers of people. And today, the Prime Minister and I are announcing a framework to strengthen those ties even further economically, and the U.S.-India Compact for the 21st century is a historic initiative that will deepen every aspect of our
A
partnership
historic
and our friendship.
initiative that will
Starting this year,
deepen.
we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters. In 2017, my
Whoa!
administration
India getting some
revived
stealth
and
fighters.
reinvigorated the
Whoa!
Quad security
What is
partnership.
this? India
Our meeting
getting
today, the
beefed
Prime
up
Minister and I
weaponry?
reaffirmed a strong
Excuse me?
cooperation among the United States, India, Australia, and Japan.
I guess they want to
And it's
start.
crucial
I
to
think I know
maintaining
why.
peace and prosperity, tranquility.
They start what they want to start
in the
moving fucking
Indo-Pacific. In addition, the United States and
arms
India will
just
be
in
working
case if
together
shit
like
hit the
never
fan.
before to confront
Right, it's
the
already
threat of
been
radical Islamic
distributed
terrorism,
and
the threat all over
it's
the world,
already
actually. Today,
at
I'm
the
pleased to announce
location
that
and
my administration has
wouldn't take
approved
long
the
to get it up
extradition
and
of
ready,
one of
right?
the plotters and one of the very evil people of the world.
Yeah, and then you can get
having
people
to
trained
do with the
on
horrific
something that stuff.
2008
Why you delete my
Mumbai
comment,
terrorist
bromi?
attack. To face
Because
justice in
you're
India,
La
so
Migra
he's going to
and
be
you need to
going
go
back
the fuck
to
back.
India, face justice.
Okay.
As we deepen our defense partnership, will also strengthen our economic ties and bring greater fairness and reciprocity to our trading relationship. As a signal of good faith, Prime Minister Modi recently announced the reduction
All right,
to
Bruce
India's
Lee.
unfair, very strong tariffs that limit U.S. access into the Indian market very strongly, and really it's a big problem, I must say. India imposes a 30 to 40 to 60 and even 70% tariff.
I
on
mean,
some
you're
Indian goods,
American, so I don't
in
know
some
why
cases
the
far
fuck
more
you
than
care.
that, and as an example, a 70% tariff on U.S. cars going into India, which makes it pretty much impossible to sell those cars.
My ass would probably get
Today, the
deported
US,
too.
Trade deficit
Let's
with
be
India
real,
is
everyone's getting deported,
almost
right?
$100 billion. And Prime Minister Modi and I have agreed that we'll begin negotiations to address the long-running disparities that should have been taken care of over the last
Still
4
Mexican.
years, but they didn't do that. In the U.S.-India trading relationship with the goal of signing an agreement, and we want, we want a certain level playing field, which we really think we're entitled to, and he does also, in fairness. We're going to work on that very hard, and we can make up the difference very easily.
Level
with the
playing
deficit
field, he said.
with the sale of oil and gas, LNG, of which we have more than anybody in the world. The Prime Minister and I also reached an
Every
important
rare
agreement on
cognitive
energy that
disorder in
will
15 minutes.
restore the United States as a leading supplier of oil and gas to India. It will be hopefully their #1 supplier, and the groundbreaking development for U.S. nuclear industry. India is also reforming its laws to welcome U.S. nuclear technology, which is at the highest level, into the Indian market. This will bring safe, clean, and affordable electricity to millions of Indians and tens of billions of dollars to the U.S. civilian nuclear industry in India.
Oh. Nuclear industry, eh? More power, eh? Better energy?
And under the framework we are announcing today, the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by the two.
So they're also teaming up with
it.
India.
The most
Okay.
advanced nations, intellectually and otherwise technologically, anywhere in the
So
world.
basically, he's just saying, yeah, we're just gonna work with all of our allies and try and beef up AI, try and beef up everyone.
Artificial intelligence, a very complex subject, but it seems to be where people want to be and they want to go, and we're leading right now by a lot, but other people will try to catch us. I don't know if they're going to be able to. We're going to make it available. We're going to make tremendous amounts of electricity available. We're going to let the people that are buying the electricity make their own electric plants, electric generation plants. And we've never done this in our country, but we're going to get it done very quickly. Lee Zeldin and his group are going to get the approvals in very rapid form. And we're calling it a national emergency, and that's exactly what it is. So we're going to remain at the top of the AI or artificial intelligence, I think, for a long time to come, and we're going to be working very closely with India and other countries on that. But right now, we're the leader by quite a bit. Finally, we agreed to work together to help build one of the greatest trade routes in all of history. It will run from India to Israel to Italy and onward to the United States, connecting our partners by ports, railways, and undersea cables, many, many undersea cables.
Oh, interesting. So he's putting up new infrastructure, apparently, to set up a new trade route.
It's a big development. It's a lot of money going to be spent, and we've already spent some, but we're going to be spending a lot more in order to stay advanced and stay the leader. I'm pleased to report that with today's announcements, the friendship between the United States and India is...
Yo, Bruce Lee, gotta go to sleep. Good night. All right, Mr.
is the best it's ever been between two leaders
Who's
of two
Mr.
countries.
Fucking
And it's an honor to
George
say that.
Lopez?
I'd like to now invite the Prime Minister to say a few words, and then we'll take
Actually, I shouldn't call you George
questions,
Lopez. You
and,
probably don't look as
appreciate you
fucked
all
up as
being
he
here.
does
Thank you very
nowadays. That motherfucker got hit by a goddamn age wall.
Your Excellency, Rashtrapati Trump,
President Trump,
दोनों देशों के delegates,
delegates of both countries,
मीडिया के साथियों,
friends from the media,
नमस्कार.
Namaskar.
सबसे पहले
I would like to, first of all,
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को
express
मेरे शानदार
my
स्वागत
heartfelt
और
gratitude
आतिथ्य सत्कार के
to
लिए
my dear friend President
हार्दिक
Trump
आभार व्यक्त
for
करता
the grand welcome and
हूं.
hospitality
राष्ट्रपति
accorded to
ट्रंप
me.
ने
President Trump's
भारत और अमेरिका
leadership
संबंधों को
has been
अपने नेतृत्व
instrumental in nurturing India-US ties
जीवंत
and making them vibrant.
जिस उत्साह से
I could
K.
feel
Jackal
today
Chan? Alright, dude.
the
Get
same
the fuck out of here, you weirdo.
enthusiasm, the same
Why are you still
the
talking?
same enthusiasm,
Aren't you
the
supposed to
same
go to
energy,
sleep? Don't
the
you have
same
work?
commitment that we had worked with during our first term.
It's Friday, it's
Our discussions today
Friday. Gotta go to work on Friday.
our pride in our accomplishments during his first term, the deep mutual trust that we share,
Gotta go pick fruit at the field with my tios. Oh, you
the
mean
resolve
some of
to
that
attain new
some of that
goals.
potatoes and
We
you
all
cotton,
see
huh? You cotton picker?
that
The
the
rice picker?
partnership
Huh?
and cooperation between
You
India
filthy
and
rice
the US
picker.
can
I'm
shape
sorry.
a better world. Friends, the people of America
Alright, get out of here. I don't want to
are
listen to you.
aware of President Trump's motto, Make
Go on, scat.
America Great Again, or
You nagger.
MAGA. The people of America are well aware of it. The people of India too
विरासत और विकास की
are
पटरी पर
focusing on both heritage and development
2047 के
as they move forward at a fast pace.
Oh, he is so he is using the they got the earbud and everything. Yeah. Why weren't they doing it in the other thing? Why did they have the fucking interpreters there? That was weird. Okay, whatever.
And with a firm resolve to ensure a developed India by 2047. If I were to say this,
Did he just say a more developed India by 2047? Basically, a better India by 2047. That's what he says.
borrowing an expression from America,
Oh, okay. So that's what he wants to. So what he's doing a big development plan that's going to be that's going to that's gonna span to 2047. Right, 2025 to 2047. So he's making a big ass long development plan where he wants to basically rebuild India and or well, I wouldn't say rebuild India, but he wants to overhaul India and make it better, right?
Our vision for a developed India is to make India great again, or MEGA.
Mika. Make India great again. Oh, shit. Dude. Trump is rubbing off on everybody. Oh, shit. Trump is rubbing off on everybody. Make India great again. Make Japan great again. Make South Korea great again. Shit. This is the new slogan. Make everything great again.
Work together. That is when MAGA, when it's MAGA plus MEGA, it becomes MEGA, a mega partnership for prosperity.
It becomes a mega. This fucking India guy, he knows how to use his words. Oh shit. Even Trump's eating it up.
That gives new scale and scope to our objectives. Friends, today we have also set ourselves the target of more than doubling our bilateral trade to attain $500 billion by 2030.
By 2030, bilateral trade.
On concluding
5 billion, he said?
a mutually beneficial trade agreement in order to ensure India's energy security. We will focus.
So are they going to be building a
investment in energy infrastructure?
Because they said nuclear.
In the area of nuclear energy, we also discussed.
So are they actually going to be building facilities?
Small modular reactors. Friends?
Oh, they are.
America plays an important role.
So that's why he was talking about the infrastructure and stuff and cables and whatnot. So he basically okay. So India develops, right, small reactors. The US builds military and just basically anything, tech, military. What does Canada do? Canada doesn't really do fuck all, really. They just give us resources to build shit. UK. They have a lot of resources. They have a strong military, right? They build a lot of... I think they build stuff too. Do they have nuclear though? I don't think they have nuclear. Right, now that I think about it, we shut down in not California, I'm sorry, in the United States. We shut down all of our nuclear facilities. Because, well, for whatever reason, they didn't want to fucking fuck with that shit anymore. So now they want to build it in India.
Preparedness. As strategic and trusted partners, we are moving forward actively towards joint development,
Yeah, I mean,
joint production, and
I don't think you should just build all the fucking the reactors in fucking India. That sounds like a bad idea.
and equipment
I would say spread them out, right?
enhance
I don't.
our capacities.
Right, you can't just have all the reactors in one place. That sounds like a fucking retarded idea. By the way, just saying.
A defense
Because if war broke out,
for the next decade.
right, everyone's going to be looking at those fucking reactors and being like, "Hey, we can fuck with a lot of countries if we fuck with these reactors." Right?
Repair and maintenance will also be its key components. Friends, the 21st century is a technology-driven century. Close cooperation in the area of technology between countries that believe in democratic values can give new direction, strength, and opportunities to the entire humanity. India and the US
Right, if you really want, right, this is in terms of globalization,
of
right?
artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum, biotechnology, and several
Now, this
other
isn't the same globalization as, right,
we also
the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization, right? Those guys, yeah, no, not that kind of globalization, not those fucking weird. Not the rich people globalization where they just right step on the body of the poor, right?
advanced materials and pharmaceuticals. We have also decided to launch a recovery and processing initiative for strategic minerals like lithium and rare earths.
Oh,
We
interesting. So they're going into processing facilities. So it seems like India's going the route of just making a bunch of facilities to just produce things too.
Satellite developed with
Right.
mutual cooperation between ISRO and NASA will soon be flying into space on an
Oh,
Indian
interesting.
launch
So
vehicle.
they're also making like a space program.
Partnership between India
Interesting.
and the US strengthens democracy and strengthens democratic
okay.
values and systems. We will work together to enhance peace,
Hey, that's more.
stability,
That's
and
right. That's more
prosperity
data.
in the Indo-Pacific. The Quad
Yeah,
will
that's
play a
another thing. A
special
lot of
role
these
in
nations
this.
aren't right doing a lot of.
During the Quad
I mean, they're doing
Summit
certain
scheduled
research,
to
right?
be held in India this year, we will expand cooperation in
Because
new
each
areas with our partner countries.
each nation and each country has right different climates and environments and stuff like that. So it's, you have to like pick and choose what's best to develop in right in these places. Whereas in America, we basically have everything.
Will stand strongly together.
Yeah, whereas some of these other countries, their climate and environment is way
We
different.
agree that
Whereas America, we have a much
to
balanced
eliminate cross-border
climate and
terrorism,
environment.
we need concrete actions. And I'm very grateful to President Trump that he, in 2008, somebody who carried out genocide in India, that criminal is now going to be handed over to India, and I'm grateful to President Trump for this. And appropriate action will be taken in the courts in India. Friends, the Indian community living in the US is an important link in our relations. In order to
I mean, we already have programs set up where we already employ a lot of
India will soon
people from
open
India, probably.
new consulates
And then
in
we have
Los
open
Angeles
borders, so a lot of
and
these people are flying into fucking
Opening
America
new
too.
consulates.
And visiting, right? We have
invited
touristy spots.
American
right?
universities
Stuff
and
like that.
educational institutes to open their offshore campuses in India. President Trump, I am grateful to you for your friendship and strong commitment towards India.
Yeah, if you really think about it, with our school programs in America and our international programs, we basically just allow anyone.
President Trump
As long as you're not doing fucking illegal shit, yeah, we basically allow everyone.
On behalf of 1.4 billion Indians, I invite you to visit India. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. That was excellent. We'll do a few questions, please. Please go ahead.
We'll do a few questions, please. So interesting. So they want. So this is interesting. They want to make, or well, India, from India's words. The Prime Minister wants to make India great again. He's basically taking what Trump has been doing with America and trying to be more independent, right? And that's kind of where India is like, yeah, that's kind of where we want to take it to. We want to start producing stuff. We want to start making our own stuff, right? We want to have the facilities to produce and make, right, stuff like that. But they also want, or they're also putting in the fucking nuclear energy. Interesting. We should bring back our nuclear programs in fucking in America, to be honest. Because if India is going to be investing in, right, making facilities into nuclear reactors and stuff, why aren't we reopening our shit?
Here in the US as well.
You're gonna have to go louder.
Mr. President, people in
Actually, now that I think about it, we can't reopen our shit. Because it's been so fucking... It's been so unused for a while, they probably have to have to fucking rebuild everything.
Extradite Bahadur Rana to...
How about you, please? Go ahead, back there.
First, I want to ask
Thank you very much.
You and the president, you both spoke about combating ISIS. You both sounded very excited about this partnership.
About starting a.
How much more confident are you with President Trump
trying to
leading
get
this
people's
country
military on
that
par
there will be
or
peace through
stronger?
strength, and you will have a successful partnership with the United States versus,
Or at least the tools they need to make them stronger.
with Biden's incompetence and weakness over the last 4 years.
That's your question, but I'll answer it. I agree with you. Gross incompetence. We're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it has been. Look, the whole world's been set back over the last 4 years by the weakness of the United States.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I had a feeling India was in the dark too with the whole Biden stuff.
Of the United States, but I think we've taken care of it in just 3 weeks. It seems to me that even some of the
You're right, because if Japan wasn't getting any trade deals, right, that means India too. It's like, oh fuck, dude.
that we wouldn't prefer.
all the deals are all fucked up now. See, this is why we weren't having any fucking money flow or anything like
The Prime
that.
Minister told me that before too, even over India. The world has a light. They need the United States to be strong and
Well, I mean, the money flow. I mean, the money flow was being printed, right, by Printer Go Burr for the when COVID hit.
It'll make both countries much stronger.
That lasted what, about 3 years, right? 2019 to what, 2022? Yeah, that's. Well, I mean, 2023 is right. It's like 3 to 4 years.
The question is about the fact that you've decided to extradite Bahadur Rana. Thank you so much. India has been waiting to have him back in India to bring him to justice. But there are many other elements in the United States of America, particularly Khalistani separatists who've been working against Indian interests.
Palestinians who've been working against Indian interests.
On that front, with India, there are
Wait,
have
what?
been allegations that
Pakistani or
have been leveled against
Palestinian?
Indian agencies
Palestine.
by the Biden administration.
Palestine?
Are you going
I'm
to
confused.
relook that with Tulsi Gabbard as DNI now?
Well, I don't think India had a very good relationship with the Biden administration. Biden, they wouldn't sell them oil and gas, which is rather hard to believe because it's a good thing to do. And a lot of things happened that weren't very appropriate, I thought, between India and the administration, the Biden administration. But as you said, we're giving a very violent man, it seems to me. And I don't know that he's been convicted yet or will be, but let's assume he's a pretty violent person. We're giving him back to India immediately, and there are more to follow because we have...
Yeah, the issue with Biden was that he was kind of being a dick to these other countries. Right.
Request. So we work with India on crime.
Right, because he stopped trade deals with Japan, stopped trade deals with India. Like, why would you do that?
And we want to make it good for India, and it's very important. So that kind of a relationship is very important to us. Okay? Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've repeatedly called India a big abuser of trade and said it is really
a big abuser of trade. What?
Because of tariffs. You announced reciprocal tariffs today. I am hoping you can speak about what kind of reciprocal tariffs India can expect. Are you willing to make any concessions? And how can India head off these tariffs? I also have one for the Prime Minister.
Well, India's been, to us, just about the highest tariffed nation anywhere in the world. They've been very strong on tariffs. I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very hard to sell into India because they have trade barriers, very strong tariffs.
I mean, yeah.
Right
there's
now,
a lot
reciprocal.
you start looking at these other countries and how they get certain products. Yeah, there's a lot of barriers for them. So that's why they fucking tariff a lot of shit.
Or for somebody else with low tariffs, we're going to have the same.
It's kind of the same way what America does when they try to get stuff overseas, right?
It's called reciprocal, which I think is a very fair way. We didn't have that. I was going to do that in my other term, and we had the greatest economy ever in the world. There's never been an economy like we had, and then we got hit with COVID. We had to focus on that, and I wasn't really in the mood to be putting it on Italy and Spain and France and India, frankly, and a lot of other countries, because the world was very troubled until we got rid of that nightmare. But we had the strongest economy anywhere in the world during that fairly long period of time during my first term, as you know, and we didn't do the tariffs. We would have done the reciprocal tariffs, but we decided, and I decided, I think on a human basis, on a humane basis, not to do them because of the fact that there was such suffering all over the world. The last thing we needed to talk about is trade problems. But now we do. We're doing, we see a tremendous future for our country, but we felt that now it's finally time, after 45 or 50 years of abuse, that we will do, and this isn't India, this is among a lot of nations. The European Union is very difficult for us, very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for a while. It seems.
Seen before. They take advantage of a lot of things, so we're not happy about that. China, of course, is terrible, and we've never taken in 10 cents until I was president. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China since I've been president in the first term and now. And we have to do that just as a mechanism of fairness. And that's what I've done, and so we are being reciprocal with India. Whatever India charges, we charge them. So, frankly, it no longer matters to us that much what they charge, because whatever they charge. I had discussions with India in the first term about the fact that their tariffs were very high, and I was unable to get a concession. So we're just going to do it the easy way, and we're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge, and I think that's fair for the people of the United States. And I think it's actually fair for India. Yes, to the
A
Prime
question
Minister.
for the Prime Minister, please.
Yes, to the Prime Minister, please.
Sorry. Yoshita Singh with Press Trust of India. Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister, the US is giving a lot of push to curb illegal immigration, and India has been cooperating on this issue. How does India see this issue in the larger context? Thank you.
This is a question that is about India only, but even globally you can talk about this issue. And we are of the opinion that anybody who enters another country illegally, they have absolutely no right to be in that country. And as far as India and the US is concerned, we have always been of the same opinion, and that is that any verified Indian who is in the US illegally, we are fully prepared to take them back to India. However,
Oh, this is about the
it doesn't
deportation
stop there.
stuff.
These are children of very ordinary families, and they are lured by big dreams and big promises. A lot of them are brought in without them knowing about why they're going to a country. And in fact, they are connected with a human trafficking system, and we have to make sure that we fight against this system. As far as the US and India is concerned, I think what we should
okay.
do
So
is
he
make efforts
he basically
to make
knows
sure
what's
that
going
we
on.
uproot these from within the system, so that we can
Now, obviously,
reduce or
it's a
remove
small amount of
the
these, right?
human
A small
trafficking.
amount of the
And
population, but
basically,
it's
young,
enough to raise
vulnerable,
questions as
poor
to why
people
it's
of India are
happening.
fooled into
Right, yeah,
coming
how are
over
they?
as illegal
How are they getting in?
immigrants. And
Where are they
our
getting
fight
this
actually
information
goes
to
against
fucking
this
go to
ecosystem or
these
this
cartel
system
members or
that
do
encourages
illegal
such
shit
acts to
just to get
thrive?
into the
And I
fucking
can
country?
tell you
It's
that
weird.
India will completely support.
Thank you, Mr. President. The question for the Prime Minister very first, if I may. I wanted to ask you, did you discuss any possible business deals with Elon Musk during your meeting today, Mr. Prime Minister? And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you, today you spoke about hoping to have three-way talks with President Xi and President Putin. What would you say to European leaders and other allies who may be concerned that you're apparently more keen to speak to America's adversaries than to its allies? Thank you.
What do you mean? He's been trying to talk to our allies.
We had some talks, and we told the European Union, we told the NATO people, largely they overlap, you have to pay more money because it's unfair what we're doing. We're doing a tremendous amount more. We're probably $200 billion more going into Ukraine, using for Ukraine to fight. And Europe has not really carried its weight in terms
Yeah.
of...
Not only did we do that, we sent in a bunch of
And we want to see a
fucking armament
counterbalance.
to
We
them.
want to have them put up more
We
money. They
literally
have to do
gave
that.
them the go-ahead
At
to
the same time,
use
we had a very
fucking
good
long-range
conversation with
weapon
President
systems,
Putin the
missile
other day,
systems. Like,
yesterday,
come on.
and we also had a very good conversation. I
Like,
did
what the
both- in
fuck
both
are we
cases,
doing?
with President Zelensky, and I think we're going to be able to do something.
Why are we the arbiters to fucking judge a fucking proxy war? Like, what is going on?
With 1.5 million soldiers at least already dead on the battlefield, lying all over the fields like nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Fucking
since
Biden.
the Second
No
World
idea what the
War.
fuck he did.
And so I think we're going to be able to do something. We're working with President Zelensky and with President Putin, and my impression is that I know that President Zelensky wants to make a deal, and I also feel that I know that President Putin wants to make a deal. I wanted to know that before I began any detailed discussions, but the meeting and the conversation, also the meeting with Steve Witkoff in Moscow was a very successful one, and my phone call with him was a very successful one. Please.
You asked a question regarding Elon Musk. I have known him for a very long time. I was not even a prime minister at the time when I first met him. I was chief minister, and today
Oh
he
yeah,
came to
that's
meet
right.
me
He
along
was
with
the
all his
chief minister.
family,
Oh,
with his
okay.
children.
So he's the new prime minister of India. So he's just like Trump right now. He just got into the role and he needs to fucking start planning.
And so we had a nice discussion as far as EVs are concerned. The word EV has a copyright, and that is one person who has a copyright to the word EV, and that is Trump.
Electric vehicle, I'm guessing. Or the
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I ask whether you discussed at all today the case of Gautam Adani, who's one of the wealthiest men in Asia and perceived as an ally of Prime Minister Modi? Prime Minister Modi, have you asked the President to take action on that case? Thank you.
President Modi. Or Prime Minister.
India is a democratic country, and
Well, I mean, he is technically the
culture
president.
and our thought philosophy is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which basically means that the entire world is a family. Every Indian is my own family member. And when it comes to such personal matters, leaders of two countries will not get together on that topic and discuss anything on an individual matter.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, please. Sir, go ahead, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I have a question for you as well. But, Mr. President, you have suggested, with regards to the Russia-Ukraine war, you've suggested several things that Ukraine should give up. The idea of NATO membership, territory that was seized back in 2014.
Well, I mean, they should give up NATO membership because Putin doesn't want them to be a part of NATO. Right, I think Zelensky wanted NATO membership just so he can, right, he wanted to be more independent. Right.
By Russia.
At least from what was going on. We don't even know why Putin went in there in the first place.
Into something that I think they wish they didn't. If I were president, it would not have happened. Absolutely would not have happened.
But I would assume that fucking Zelensky did something to set Putin off.
What has taken place under President Bush, they lost a lot. Under,
Something happened at the border to piss off Zelensky, and that's why he went in.
Crimea. Under Biden, it looks like they could lose the whole thing. Under Trump, they lost nothing. Ukraine lost nothing. They didn't give up anything. And you take a look at the other three presidents surrounding me, they gave up a lot. I think that when you look at Ukraine and when you look at the mess that they're in, it's got to be ended and it's got to be stopped. Now, Russia's taken over a pretty big chunk of territory.
Oh, yeah.
And they also,
they're slowly encroaching.
Said from day one, long before President Putin, they've said they cannot have Ukraine be.
Right, if you really think about what's going on in fucking Rage Day 4, how's it going? Yeah, if you really think about what's going on in fucking Russia, Ukraine, fucking Russia will just slowly strangle Ukraine. That's not good for Zelensky and all those citizens.
They said that very strongly. I actually think that was the thing that caused the start of the war. And Biden said,
man, you like creepy theories? I mean, it's true.
And I think that was
Russia is a big
one
country.
Of the starts of the war. But from long before Putin,
they have way more personnel than fucking Ukraine does.
Going in any way into
Russia has a way bigger army than fucking Ukraine does.
From that standpoint, I think everybody knew that. Now, if a better deal can be negotiated,
what? Can you check one? What theory are you talking about? I don't really talk about theories a lot because they're fucking not great. I provide link here and you delete it? Oh no, sorry, I don't allow links.
We have a big ocean in between.
I mean, you can just tell me the topic and I can look for it.
We shouldn't be in. They have to equalize, and they're going to have to do it fast, but they have to equalize. But as far as the negotiation, it's too early to say what's going to happen. maybe Russia will give up
The reason
a lot,
I don't
maybe they
allow
won't,
links
and
is
it's
because,
all
well,
dependent on what
shady
is going
stuff,
to happen. The
really.
negotiation really hasn't started. But I will say, as far as NATO is concerned, from many years before President Putin, I will tell you that I've heard that Russia would never accept that. And I think Ukraine knew that because Ukraine wasn't in and never requested to be in until more recently. So that's the way it is. And I think that's the way
Problem of what? Observation in quantum mechanics suggests that reality doesn't. Why are we talking about quantum mechanics?
Mr.
What?
President,
yes, go ahead.
this is Saurabh Shukla from
It
News.
doesn't collapse into a definite state until it measured or observed. In this theory, observation isn't just a passive act; it's a creative force that actively shaped reality. But this raises deeper question: where was the ultimate observer of this? Why are we talking about? Are we talking about a philosophical problem? Without chaos? What do you,
How do you see this relationship between the India and the United States to come
why are
to
we
China?
talking about this?
And what is your vision when it comes to India, brokering peace in the Ukraine and Russia conflict?
Well, I think
Also, where did you get this out of fucking politics? Huh?
But until then, I got along with President Xi.
You bring quantum mechanics into or quantum theory into a fucking political. Wait, what?
A very important player in the world. I think they can help us get this war over with Ukraine and Russia.
Are you a quantum mechanic scientist?
On the border, which are quite vicious, and I guess they continue to go on. If I could be of help, I'd love to help because that should be stopped. That's been going on for a long time, and it's quite violent. It's quite violent, but I would hope that China and India, and Russia and U.S. and all of us can get along. It's very important. The power of weaponry today is, and not only nuclear, but nuclear in particular, the power of weaponry is very important. I said before that I had very constructive talks in my first term with
I must needs Greenland.
the denuclearization.
Oh, because that stuff. The fucking what? The gravitational bullshit. The UFO bullcrap.
I thought he really wanted to do it, so did I.
Yeah, those fucking people and their fucking crazy
It's
theories.
such a beautiful term when you think about it. In other words, to bring it down, because the power of those weapons is too great. And I did speak to President Xi about that, and I was getting also a very good response. He's building a very strong nuclear power. He's not very close to Russia or the United States.
So Xi was actually building nuclear?
Until then, I get this war over with Ukraine and Russia. If I could be of help, I'd love to help because I would hope that China, in my first term, he really wanted to do it, so did I.
Kind of biophysics. That's way above my pay grade.
It's such a beautiful
I
term
don't
when you
study
think
that
about it.
shit.
In other words, to bring it down because the power
That sounds
of those
like
weapons
alien bullshit.
is too great. And I did speak to President Xi about that, and I was getting also a very good response. He's building a very strong nuclear power. He's not.
What he wants to? What is there any fucking quantum computers in fucking Greenland? I don't think so. Who owns the quantum computer? I forgot who owns that shit. There's a bunch of companies.
The United States right now, but he will be soon. He'll catch up over the period of 4 or 5 years, they say. But it would be a great thing if we could, on a military basis. We're going to spend this year.
Hydroelectric stations on the equator, sent it to the cold north. You don't need any more energy resources.
Close to 100, but with the war, I can't tell you what they're spending, but they're spending.
Yeah, but that's
a lot,
just
and
based
China's
on theory.
400 and 450 billion.
No,
we're over 900.
has anyone actually proven that to work?
I said,
No.
It doesn't really make sense. Does it? We're spending the money against each other. And we could spend
Well, you do what? The CERN testing bullshit, right? The particle smasher.
Like that will happen. First, when
Right.
as you know, 4 years ago, we didn't have.
You're asking for like.
Israel and
You're asking for like what, like a fucking phenomenon that happens like once every fucking crazy ass blue moon. There was his words on Joe Rogan podcast. Look, Joe Rogan likes to fucking take a lot of LSD sometimes, okay? A lot of people fucking like to go out the fucking universe sometimes.
The Middle East, we didn't have October.
We're not that let's bring it back to reality. We're not even that close, okay? If we're still on fucking nuclear and trying to make nuclear reactors and shit like that, yeah, no. We're not even close to all that fucking
Never have happened. But now I come back and I have
that kind of energy source.
So I have to put out the fires. But after I put out the fires, I'm going to meet with China and I'm going to meet with Russia, and we're going to see if we can de-escalate.
You're basically talking about the energy source that fucking UFOs use.
Please.
Prime Minister, how do you see India's role? You have had discussions with
You say it's not technically difficult, but no one has been able to put it into practice.
In Russia and Ukraine, as you know, I have been in constant contact with both Russia and Ukraine. I have also visited both countries, and many people are mistaken and they feel that India is neutral. I would like to clarify, India is not neutral.
If no one has been able to test it out properly and put it into practice, it doesn't work.
We have taken the side of
It's nothing more than theory.
And it is based on this
If you can't physically do it, it's just theory.
In the presence of President Putin, I clearly said in front of the media that this is not the era of war. And even today, it is my conviction that solutions cannot be found on the battlefield. Ultimately, you have to come to
We're all looking at these small problems like local war conflicts, but the game is bigger. I mean, well, yeah.
that take place where both parties are
Also, you want something to happen in that short of a time span? Yeah, right. That's not how humans operate. That's not how time or physical world operates as of right now.
That President Trump is successful.
We do still live on Earth. We do live by right the physics of Earth.
Everybody, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I very much appreciate the Prime Minister visiting our great country, and I do really appreciate it. We have so much in common, and all we want to do is have peace, and we want to have strength, and we want to have lots of different things together, but the relationship with India and with the Prime Minister has never been better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There it is. India. So more trade wars. All this being is sometimes there are step shifts. I mean, you're talking about a big shift, right? That energy the thing you're talking about, right? That big shift. Yeah, that's not a small shift. You're basically saying we're close to an energy source that could potentially fucking destroy the whole Earth. Because as soon as people start fucking making that shit, someone's gonna make a fucking bomb out of it. What if AI will help with that? Well, I mean, they already have quantum computers and all those stuff running, right? Computations and stuff for stuff like that. So, I mean, well, yeah, there's new research material. Because we have researchers doing that. But I mean, all will speed up. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what AI is for. All right, that's it for India and the trade deal. Was this today? I think this was earlier today talking about. Oh no, this was Friday. Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. It's a fucking day
Today, sir. First, this is a slate of nominees to the President's Intelligence Advisory Board.
Wait, President's Intelligence Advisory Board? More shit? What? More executive orders? I mean, how can I share it? I mean, I'm not gonna allow links on the fucking stream, brother. I mean, if you can just tell me the website article, I can read it. I mean, you can message me it on. Which?
Things for your signature today, sir. First, this is a slate of nominees to
Are
the
links to the
President's
text on
Intelligence Advisory
Instagram? What?
Okay. All great people.
Board. Yes, sir.
An Instagram post?
Thank you.
Excuse me? So it's not a scholarly article. It's an Instagram post. Is that what you're saying?
Do you want to read the names?
I can if you'd like to.
Go ahead, please.
First,
So you want me to
will be,
take the word
Deputy
of
Gerald
someone I don't know
Fitzgerald
who's
Nunez,
on the internet
and,
randomly,
the members of the board
and
will
they
be
are
Scott
not
Blade,
part of
Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, Brad
the
Lester,
education
Katie
field.
Miller, Wayne Berman, Rents Priebus, Robert
Like, how do I
O'Brien,
know this person
Joshua
is credible?
Lobel, Sander Gerber, Jeremy Katz, and Thomas Hicks Jr.
Okay, good. All good.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention entitled Reciprocal Trade and Tariffs. This memorandum will reshape American trade policy
Make America great
with the
again.
guiding principle being that our tariffs and our treatment of other countries should be reciprocal based on their treatment of
wait.
us.
Why do we
It
have to-
charges your Secretary of Commerce, your U.S. Trade Representative, and
Oh.
other cabinet secretaries to pursue that policy
it's
vigorously and
to
to develop
allow
trade
the- okay, I
policies
see.
in accordance with it.
That's good. Well, we'll sign that. And
Right,
before we
it's
do,
to
I
get
think
the
I'll
cabinet
mention
members
that
and
some numbers have
everyone
come out.
ready to do that stuff.
And as you know, we're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. And this just came out from the Government Accountability Office. And they're pretty staggering numbers. The federal government loses as much as $521 billion in fraud every single year. That's what Elon's working so hard on with his group of almost 100 geniuses. In 2023, there was an estimated $236 billion in improper payments made. And they think that number is very low. Should be much higher. 236 billion. This is why we're doing
Billion.
what we're doing. This is why I campaigned so hard and discussed this so much. And since 2003, there have been $2.7 trillion in improper payments, meaning payments that went to the wrong people or payments that shouldn't have been made. According to the Economic Policy Innovation Center, very respected, in 2024, there was an estimated $162 billion in improper payments. Earned income tax credit, this is having to do with earned income tax credit. It was $15.9 billion. Having to do with food stamps, improper. $10.5 billion in improper payments.
Every time I read this
Restaurant
shit, it just sounds like
Revitalization
some
Fund,
fucking
$8.7
quack.
billion. Supplemental security
fucking
income,
nut job
$6.5
quack who
billion. This is all
took too much LSD.
bad stuff, bad payments,
Took too much drugs.
fraud, largely fraud. unemployment insurance,
I've taken
5.6
drugs
billion,
too, but
according
I
to
don't go off
House
this
Ways
fucking
and Means
tangent.
in 2024. Social Security, disability insurance, and survivors insurance programs sent an estimated $8.3 billion in improper payments, including $6.5 billion in overpayments where they overpaid.
Oh, yeah.
So these are staggering numbers, and this has been going on for a long time, and we're finding a lot of it. And those numbers are minimal. They're really minimal. Those are numbers that have been proven. So you can imagine what the real number is. But we're going to make America rich again, and that's a good place to start. But here's really the place to start, because we're talking now about reciprocal tariffs. And on trade, I have decided, for purposes of fairness, that I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them. No more, no less. In other words, they charge us a tax or tariff.
I guess you can call
and we charge them the exact same tax or tariff. Very simple. Nobody knows what that number is unless you go by the individual country. You can see what it is. If you go to the individual country and you look at what they're charging
geometry
us, in almost all cases they're charging us vastly more than we charge them. But those days are over. For purposes of this United States policy, which is a big one, we will consider countries that use the VAT system. You know, you hear about a VAT tax all the time, the VAT system, which is far more punitive, actually, than a tariff. Similar, but more punitive. To be similar, so that the way we're going to look at it, we're going to call it a tariff, because they use that as a way of getting away from the tariff and the designation of tariff, but it's essentially similar or the same thing. So a VAT tax will be viewed as a tariff. Certain areas of Europe do it, to put it mildly. They have about a 20% VAT tax.
Fucking quantum shit.
Sending merchandise, product, or anything by any other name through another country for purposes of unfairly harming America will not be accepted. In addition, we will make a provision for subsidies provided by countries in order to take economic advantage of the United States, which a lot of countries do, including our allies. Our allies, in many cases, are worse than our enemies in this, having to do with trade. And this has been going along. That's why we have a $36 trillion amount of money that we owe. We owe $36 trillion, but that'll come down rapidly. Likewise, provisions will be made for non-monetary tariffs, and a non-monetary, that's where they charge and they do things that aren't, there's no dollar amount, but they make it impossible for you to do business. They do tests on cars, like dropping a bowling ball on the hood of a car, and if the hood doesn't withstand it, which no hood would except for an army tank, then they say, I'm sorry, you can't sell your car into
I can't, like I said, the bot doesn't allow links. I told you many times.
In order to take economic advantage.
That's not, I'm not the one doing it. It's the fucking Twitch.
Monetary tariffs and trade barriers that some countries charge, and most
How do
countries,
you
many
get
countries
like I
have
said, you
something
should have
to that
just
effect
whispered.
in order to keep our product out of their domain, or if they do not
/
even let
whisper
the
my
US
name and
businesses
then, you know,
operate. So
send the link through
in
that
some
way.
countries, they just won't let us even operate there. They charge us a lot, but they won't even let us go in. And then we have many of them. And what our Secretary of Commerce, standing right behind me, Howard Lutnick, what he's going to be doing is he's going to come up with a number that's an equivalent number to that. But in many countries, not too many, but quite a few, they don't let us do business. They effectively don't let us do business. So we're going to put a number on that that is a fair number. We're able to accurately determine the cost of these non-monetary trade barriers, and we'll be able to do that very accurately.
Okay.
It's fair to all. No other country can complain, and in some cases, if a country feels that the United States would be getting too high a tariff, all they have to do is reduce or terminate their tariff against us, in which case we're going to pay the same thing. There is no tariff. So if they have a tariff and then they complain that this is too high, all they have to do is reduce their tariff or not charge it. I think there'll be certain countries. It's already happened.
And
I
take
believe I
too
heard
close to
that the
part
EU
with the symbols.
today or yesterday lowered the tariff on their cars to 2.5% because that's what we charge. And they lowered it
Well, I
from
mean,
10%, but it was
well,
much
it's-
higher than 10%. But
I mean,
10%
it's great to talk about,
to
you know,
2.5, that's already happened.
quantum,
That's
you know,
a big win.
quantum
We've been
physics,
after that to happen for
quantum
many years, but
right.
it never happened. But nobody
quantum
did anything
mechanics,
about
but
it,
I hate
sitting
talking
in this
about that shit.
lovely chair. So there are no tariffs. If
It's
you
just a
manufacture or build your
fucking
product in the
loop of
United
just
States.
bullshit
So,
sometimes.
if you build your product in the United States, there are no tariffs. Nothing.
It's
You
just
don't have to
talking
worry
in
about it.
circles.
It doesn't exist. A lot of companies will come back to the United States to build their product, make their product in the United States, because there will be no tariff, nothing. For many years, the U.S. has been treated unfairly by other countries, both friend and foe. This system will immediately bring fairness
You
and
will
prosperity
understand?
back
Well, I mean, I kind of have
into
to
the
because
previously
it's part of my
complex and
fucking
unfair
job as a
system of
computer
trade. We had a very
scientist.
unfair
Is
system
it
to
not?
us. Everybody took advantage of the United States, and we paid a big price
What
for
kind
it.
of matter-of-fact
America
statement
has
is
helped
that?
many countries throughout the years at great
And
financial cost.
advanced
It is now
technologies?
time that
Well, I
these
mean,
countries
yeah.
remember what we've done for them and treat us fairly. We want a level playing field for all American workers. We want a level playing field for the United States of America. I've instructed my Secretary of State, my Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of the Treasury, and the United States Trade Representative to do all the necessary work to deliver reciprocity. In other words, reciprocal.
All the
reciprocity
lasers
to
came
our
from the
system of trade.
quants.
So we're going to have a
Well, are
reciprocal
you
tax.
talking about
Whatever
the
they
high-powered
charge, we charge.
lasers that
If
can
they don't let us in, we're going to
can
determine a
melt
value
or
for
burn
that.
paper?
But overall, it's going to be a very simple system. Whatever they charge, we charge. So nobody can complain. I don't think anybody can complain. And I'm going to sign this. And the numbers are going to be very fair, but staggering. They're going to be large, but very fair. And this should have been done years ago. And I did it in a different form with tariffs and taxes on China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. No other president, as you know, ever took in 10 cents. But that
10
was
cents.
a few countries. That wasn't
Always talking about
what
China.
we're doing now. Now we're doing it with every country. So this is
all the
every
way.
country.
What
And
if
essentially,
we're?
when they treat us fairly,
This
we
is
treat them fairly.
the
It's a very
technical
fair way of doing it.
processors, etc.
And,
Well, I mean,
I don't know that it's ever been done
haven't
before, but
military people
that's the
been
way I'd like
trying to
ask,
make
Secretary
fucking
of Commerce to say a few words.
laser weapons in a sense?
So reciprocal tariffs sound
Actually, don't they already
fair,
have one?
But when you understand how brutally unfair the
I
world's
mean, it's
trading
just the
has been
but
since we
what the
opened
materials
ourselves
and
up
the
after World
hardware
War II,
that they need.
Right, we tried to
not
export
there
the
yet.
power of our economy to rebuild the world. And what happened since then is everyone else has taken advantage of us. Some countries, like the VAT that the president spoke about, 20% on everything we sell, just casually. And when they sell to us, of course, they drop that 20 right away. So it's sort of an export subsidy, if you will. So we are going to address each country one by one. But here's the key. They'll get an invitation to trade with the greatest consumer economy in the world. And in exchange for trading at the greatest consumer economy in the world, you have to treat us the way we're going to treat you. It's going to be the same, but no more inviting bad people to the party. So what the president spoke about with Mexico and Canada is we gave them the greatest invitation ever, right? You're our neighbor, you're our friend, trade for free with us. And what did they do? China came in, right? Steel done by India.
I don't think
Aluminum
China
done by
came
Australia.
and stole,
You
but
have
okay.
Australian aluminum mines operating at 90%.
There are only two of us. Why not
US
give it a
aluminum
try? What are you even
new
talking
aluminum
about?
Production 50%. We're going out of business, and they're using Canada to come in. So the president is keenly aware, keenly focused on changing this model. We will be fair to each country, but no inviting any other country in.
And Kevin, could you say a few words, please?
Oh, sure, sir.
Kevin Hassel.
Yeah. One of the things that we noticed, sir, when you asked us to look into the numbers was that last year, U.S. companies paid foreign governments $370 billion in tax. And
Jesus.
then we in the U.S. Asked them to pay us tax for what they did, and the U.S. gathered $57 billion. And so we paid them $370 billion, and they paid us $57 billion.
$370 billion? What the fuck?
And when people
Where's
say,
our money go?
"Oh,
Are we
you
just
this
turning on the
tariff thing, how
fucking
would you do
printer
that?
just
Why would you do that?
nonstop?
It's so
What is
unfair."
this?
Let's think about this. They have
Oh my
three-quarters of world
God.
GDP. We have 1/4 of world GDP, and we're paying them $370 billion, and they're
Oh,
paying us $57
money
billion.
go burr.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's big numbers. Mr. Trade Rep, would you like to say something? Congratulations, by the way. I watched you
Money
2 days ago
go.
on television, and you did fantastically.
All the
Thank
money.
you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You make it easy for me, Mr. President. We have a $1 trillion deficit coming out of the last administration. We can't have that anymore. We've had 60,000 factories lost during the period of globalization. All of these things have harmed our workers, they've harmed our farmers, they've harmed our families and our communities, and that stops right now. We're going to look at everything. We'll certainly look at the tariffs, but we're also going to look at subsidies. We're going to look at taxes that are discriminatory. We're going to look at fake antitrust regimes in other countries that try to regulate our companies, our competitive companies. We're going to look at all of these things, and we're going to figure out exactly what we should be charging other countries.
Great, thank you. And it won't be complicated. It'll be very easy. Big numbers, all right. The biggest you've ever seen. Peter, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Tariffs are bad. Around the world, they're higher than we have, but tell you what, the non-monetary barriers that are imposed on us are even worse. And President Trump has been right to single out, for example, the VAT tax, the value-added tax. There's a reason why Germany sells 8 more cars than every one we sell them. And it's not American craftsmanship, it's not American design. It's simply the unfair trade
American
practices.
design?
That is a killer. It's a hidden tariff. It's also, as Secretary Lutnick said, it's a hidden export subsidy. There's about a $20,000 differential between when we try to sell them a car and they sell us a car, and that's going to stop with this man.
Well, I want to say that actually tariffs are good. Tariffs are great, actually. And the problem is we didn't charge them and everyone else did. They charged us, but we didn't charge them because we were generous or foolish or stupid or all of the above. So this is one of the biggest, I think, economic bills ever signed. I think it's probably the biggest in terms of what it represents. Now this doesn't include what we did a few days ago with steel and aluminum. That's over and above this. Cars will be
More
over and above
money.
this.
Give us
Look at
more.
what's coming shortly. If you take a look at the chips and various things in that world, that universe, that'll be over and above it. Also, pharmaceuticals will be over and above. So those elements will be over and above. Otherwise, this is covering pretty much everything. And it's going to be great for the United States and fair for the world. I mean, it's the most fair you can do. We could charge just a flat tariff, and that would be, in many ways, easier. But you could make a case that that wouldn't be fair to other countries. This is fair. Remember, whatever they charge, we charge. So whatever they charge us, we charge them. And if they charge us nothing, we charge them nothing. And it really works out well. And we'd be very happy to have nothing and nothing. We wouldn't have any tariffs at all. But to me, it's something that I'm very proudly doing. It should have been done many, many years ago. And we're doing it now. We're doing it very late because we were very foolish, as a country, very foolish. And we're doing it now.
For doing it now, it signs it.
Well, that's a good one.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we have...
God, why the fuck does she always why is she always here now? Oh my god, she's so fucking... Every time I see her face, I just want to fucking put a bullet in my head sometimes.
Ask you to speak yet, please.
God.
Right? Okay. Go ahead, please.
You won the
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, you are meeting Prime Minister Modi of India.
just totally said fuck you to her. It's like, get out of here, bitch.
India, and what's the vision for India?
Yeah, India traditionally is the highest, just about the highest tariffed country. They charge more tariffs than any other country. And, I mean, we'll be talking about that. But again, whatever they charge us, we're charging them. So it works out very well. It's a beautiful, simple system. And we don't have to worry about, gee, we're charging too much or too little. But traditionally, India is right at the top of the pack, pretty much. There are a couple of smaller countries that are actually more. But India is a they charge tremendous tariffs. I remember when Harley Davidson couldn't sell their motorbikes into India because of the fact that India, the tax was so high, the tariff was so high. And Harley was forced to build, I guess they built, I don't know, that was a while ago, but I think they built a factory in India in order to avoid paying the tariffs. And that's what people can do with us. They can build a factory here, a plant or whatever it may be here, and that includes the medical, that includes cars, that includes chips and semiconductors, that includes everything. If you build here, you have no tariffs whatsoever. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think our country is going to be flooded with jobs.
What should consumers expect? Are prices going to go up short-term,
Well,
long-term?
not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily, but I'll tell you what will go up is jobs. The jobs will go up tremendously. We're going to have great jobs for everybody. This is something that should have been done many years ago. China did it. I mean, China did it at a level that probably nobody's ever seen before. If you manufactured a car, you couldn't send it into China. The tariff was so high, so everybody went and they built in China. It was no big secret. So we're going to see, but it's going to mean tremendous amounts of jobs. And ultimately, prices will stay the same.
More jobs, more money.
But we're going to have a very dynamic country.
But if prices go up,
Very
Mr.
dynamic
President,
country.
because of these tariffs, who do you think voters should hold responsible?
Oh, I think what's going to go up is jobs are going to go up, and prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much because product is being dumped into our country, and our farmers are getting hurt very badly by the last administration. The last administration hated our farmers, like at a level that I've never seen before. I think our farmers are going to be helped. Jobs are going to be helped, but our farmers are going to be helped. Our manufacturers are going to be helped. And again, if somebody wants to come in, including the car companies, if they want to come in and build car plants, they'll do it without tariffs, and therefore prices won't go up. There could be some short-term disturbance, but long-term, it's gonna make our country a fortune.
So Americans should prepare for some short-term pain.
No, you said that. I didn't say that. Well, let's see what happens. Nobody really knows what is going to happen other than we know that jobs are going to be produced at levels that we haven't seen before. We know that we think interest rates are going to ultimately be coming down because of things that happen, and they go hand in hand with the tariffs. But we think that the prices for some things, many things, it could be all things, will go down. Ultimately, will go down.
Mr. President, can you explain the timeline here, sir? There's a period of time for a review, a report, 180 days. Sure. What's the earliest date that you think tariffs will actually be implemented in executed?
Well, I would say, maybe I'll ask Howard to answer that, because he's going to be the one that's implementing. What do you think?
Our studies should be all complete by April 1st. So we'll hand the president the opportunity to start on April 2nd if he wants. So I think we'll be ready to go on April 1st, and we'll hand it to the president, and he'll make his decisions. But remember, if they drop their tariffs, prices for Americans are coming down. Our production's going up, and our costs
he
are
said
going down.
April
Remember, it's a
1st.
two-way street. That's why it's called
That's what he said.
Have you spoken to any American CEOs directly about this? Are they calling you and asking
I've
for
spoken to many,
exemptions?
and many love it. And they say this is going to be the thing that makes our country really prosperous.
Or he goes
again.
on April.
And this is going to
April
be
2nd.
what pays down to $36 trillion in debt and all the other things. And this is going to be, this is an amazing
Well,
day.
it'd be April
I think it's gonna
2nd
be a
for
very big day
some
in a very
countries.
positive way for our country. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you've talked about the VAT and the EU before, and your concerns with how the EU treats you. Do you have a number in mind on the European Union? Do you have an idea where?
Oh yeah, that's another thing
Well,
about
what they are now is they have a 20%
quantum
VAT tax,
and
which we'll consider to
mechanics
be
and-
similar or the same
right,
as the
fucking
tariff. Plus, they charge lots of
quantum
fees,
mecha-
and you know they're doing something else.
quantum
The European
mechanics and
Union's been
quantum
very
physics.
tough on our companies. They
Again,
sued
the
Apple,
whole
they sued
fucking
Google,
time
they
dilation
sued,
and
Facebook. They sued many
right.
other companies.
Some
and
countries
they're
are ahead of
American
us
companies, and
in
the kind of
terms
numbers are
of
staggering.
daylight and
And the court
Asia.
system over there
Yeah,
is not
stuff
very
like
good to
that.
our companies. If you know that Apple had to pay, I think, $16 billion in a penalty, a court case that was really shocking because most people thought they would have won that court case, people that watched it. So they've been very tough. Airlines have called me up and they said, could you help us with Europe because they're charging us so many different fees. I got a call from the head of American, United, and other airlines saying, every time we land a plane, we get just absolutely killed by the European Union. And so they haven't treated us good. You know, we think the European Union is wonderful. We all love Europe, love the countries in Europe. But European Union has been absolutely brutal on trade. Canada's been very bad to us on trade, but now Canada's going to have to start paying up. And Canada's been tough on the military because they have a very low military cost. They think we're going to, protect them with our military, which is unfair. So Canada's going to be a very interesting
fuck you, Canada.
situation.
Who said we're gonna fucking protect
because, we
You
just
guys are
don't need their
assholes.
product, and yet they survive off the fact that we do 95% of what they
You guys
do.
are just lucky
And
that we
Canada
have the
is just
strongest
absolutely-
military,
I
and
say
you
it,
guys are
sometimes
piggybacking
people
off of
smile,
us.
and sometimes they say,
Fucking
great idea,
cunts.
but Canada, their taxes would come down greatly, their security would go up greatly. Amazing things happen to Canada, and really Canada in this particular. Why would we
Blame
pay
Canada.
$200 billion a year
Blame
in subsidies
Canada.
to Canada when they're not a state? You do that for a state, but you don't do that for somebody else's country. So I think Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.
Going with Canada. There was
Our
obviously
51st
delay in
state,
implementing
Canada.
those tariffs.
I
Blame
spoke
Canada.
to Governor Trudeau
Blame
on
Canada.
numerous occasions, and we'll see what happens. But it just sets up so good for them. Look, the people would pay much less tax than they're paying right now. They'd have perfect military protection. They don't have any military protection because and you take a look at what's going on out there. You have Russian ships, you have China ships, you have
Russia,
Chinese ships, you have
China.
a lot of ships out there, and people are in danger. This is a different world today. It's a different world. They
China,
need our
China,
protection.
China.
Yes.
You mentioned Elon Musk and the efforts that he's undertaking with your
Look
authority.
at
You granted
this.
him new authority this week. Will he secure any new government contracts while he is working on Doge?
No,
for
not
you?
if there's a conflict. If there's no conflict, I guess what difference
Trump
does
at
it make?
China,
But,
China,
we
so.
won't let him do anything having to do with the
Are
conflict.
you personally checking to make sure there's no conflicts of interest?
Yeah, I am.
He answers to you.
Sure, he does. First of all, he wouldn't do it, and second of all, we're not going to let him do anything where there's a conflict of interest.
Mr. President, your negotiations with the EU there's discussions ongoing already. How quickly do you expect that you'll hear back from them about any of these other
I can't tell
measures?
you, yeah. The EU's been very nasty. It's just been, they haven't treated us properly. Look, we were great to them on NATO. Essentially, it's a similar group of countries. When I came in, my first term, I raised their fees. I mean, they were not paying. We were paying for, in my opinion, almost all of NATO. And now, I had the bad moment with the press where the press said, well, does this mean you won't protect them? And I said, I won't protect them if they're not paying. But because I said that, the Secretary General, as you know, said it was the greatest thing he's ever seen because the money came pouring in. But they don't treat us right on trade. They don't treat us right on the military either. I mean, if you look at Ukraine, we're in for probably $200 billion more than Europe. Why are we in for more than Europe? We're in for more than Europe. I mean, think of it, or NATO. I mean, let's call it NATO because Canada's in. By the way, Canada is just about the lowest payer. Also, they shouldn't be. They are just about the lowest payer in NATO, in addition to everything else. So Canada's really been taken advantage of. And if they had to pay just something modestly fair, they wouldn't be able to succeed as a country. And that's why I feel they have
just
to become
fucking
a
throwing
state.
Canada under the bus. Canada, you guys fucking suck.
Partners will offer major concessions and that you actually
don't end up applying
Canada's
those tariffs.
fucking lame.
No, I think
you guys
that
bring
a
in
lot
your
of them will stay
fucking
the same, and
troons.
whatever
You
they
try to
pay, I'll
screw
pay.
over Americans.
We'll have a lot of them stay
You're
the same.
you're
I think
sitting
some-
on the fucking
Look,
border
I
trying to
gave-
fuck
As an
us.
example, EU
You think you can
lowered their
fucking use us
tax on
because we have the
cars down to the
strongest
exact same
military and we're
amount
gonna
that they were
play
much
nice
higher.
for you guys? Fuck
They were
you.
approximately 5 times higher.
I'll fucking
And
put
they
a
lowered
bullet
them
in
down
any
to
of you
the exact tax that we're
motherfuckers.
charging. That took place like yesterday or the day before. Is that a correct statement? I think so, yeah.
Just like that. Big boy Trudeau.
I don't expect that, no. This is a simple system. I mean, there wouldn't be any. And in the case of Apple, I gave them a waiver, exemption in my first term because
Wasn't,
Samsung was in South Korea.
Wasn't
and
Sweet
Samsung
Baby
didn't have
Inc.
to pay the
fucking
tax 'cause there was
Troon
a tax
Squad
on
over there?
China, and Apple makes a lot of their product in China.
There's a
so
lot
I
of
did
fucking,
that because it wouldn't have been fair. But
Those
now this applies to
those
everybody
DEI
across the board. This is
retards
a much
over there in
simpler
Canada
way
land
of
for some
doing it,
reason.
much better way.
Mr. President, you had that major call yesterday with President Putin of
Yeah.
Russia. President Zelensky responded today, basically saying.
And then
any
they talk
agreements
like
we won't
they
accept
talk
unless
to
they're made
us
with
like we should
Ukraine. Will
follow
Ukraine
what
have a seat at
fucking
that table
Trudeau
for those
says. Yeah,
Of course they
get
would. I mean, they're
fucked.
part of it.
Right.
We would have Ukraine,
Fucking
we would
brain
have Russia,
dead Canada
and
land.
we'll have other
fucking
people involved. too.
retards.
A lot of people, a lot of forks
Goddamn
in the.
fake Frenchies with their
A lot of
fucking
forks in
French
this game. I'll
Canadian
tell you what,
bullshit.
This is a very interesting situation, but the Ukraine war has to end. The young people are being killed at levels that nobody's seen since World War II, and it's a ridiculous war, and it has to end. We had a good talk with President Putin.
Oh
I had a
yeah,
good
I'm
talk
full
with
on starting
President Zelensky.
a
Very
race
good talk.
war, a proxy
And somebody
war
said,
with
"Oh, I should've
Canada
called
because they're a bunch
Zelensky
of
first." I don't think
fuckwits.
so. I mean, we have to find out whether or not Russia wants to make a deal. I know that Zelensky wants to make a deal because he told me that, but I now
They
know
think
that
they
Russia
can
wants
get
to
a
make
free
deal.
ride? Fuck that, dude.
Secretary Hegseth to walk back
Making
his
your
comments
ass
yesterday
work.
saying Ukraine won't join NATO and won't
Don't
go back to
fucking get that belt to
pre-2014
make
borders
you
because
fucking
those are
work.
bargaining chips you
Don't
could
fucking
use.
get
No, I
those
didn't.
lashes if you don't
Somebody told
fucking
me
get
that, but,
moving.
I thought his comments were good yesterday, and they're probably good today. They're a little bit softer, perhaps, but I thought his comments yesterday were pretty accurate. I don't see any way that a country in Russia's position could allow them, just in their position, could allow them to join NATO. I don't see that happening. And long
Oh,
before
so, yeah, he
President
even
Putin, Russia was very strong on the fact that I believe that's the reason the war started. Because Biden went out and said that they could join NATO, and he shouldn't have said that. As soon as he said that, I said, you know what? You're going to have a war now, and I was right about that. This is a war that would have never happened if I were president.
You don't think it was President Biden's fault, not President?
But was it really that set off Putin though? There had to be more than that. Right? There had to be some shit going on at their border than the whole NATO thing. Right? There has to, right? I think Trump knows more than he's letting on. Right? I would assume that he knows some information back at when he probably looked at some of that information now that I think about it, right? I mean, since he's president now, he could probably look into that information if he really wanted to at what exactly happened when Putin decided to do his military operation. Because I would assume the U.S. would have substantial amount of information on that, on that shit happening, even if it was from first-hand accounts and stuff like that.
I mean, he's the one
I
who
think
made
Biden is incompetent, and I think when he said that they could join NATO, I thought that was a very stupid thing to say. I thought when he said, well, it depends if it's a minor incursion. In other words, it's okay if Russia does a minor incursion. I thought that was a very foolish thing to say.
Oh, so now that I think about it, did he really say a minor incursion? That was so long ago, I can't even remember. Biden really say minor incursion? The gap. He's talking about his slip up. Oh, that's what he means. That would make sense.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion, and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera. But if they actually do what they're capable of doing with the force amassed on the border, it is going to be a disaster for Russia if they further engage you.
I wanted to follow up briefly on a question asked by Bloomberg. You said that Russia would be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. Are you saying that a minor incursion by Russia into Ukrainian territory would not lead to the sanctions that you have threatened? Or are you effectively giving Putin permission to make a small incursion into the country?
Good question. That's how it did sound like, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Thing to do. Big nations can't bluff, number one. Number two, the idea that we would do anything to split NATO, which would be have a profound impact on one of, I think, profound impact on one of Putin's objectives is to weaken NATO, would be a big mistake.
I mean, he does clear it up, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you said something fucking stupid, dude.
Got it started. The other thing that
Because it makes you look like you did something right when that when the first
people, bad generals, how badly they
when the
did
first
with Afghanistan
incident happened.
I was going to pull out, but we were pulling out with dignity and strength, and we were going to take our equipment with us and everything else. They are. I mean, what they're doing is what they did with that. I think Putin looked at that mess and he said, wow, this is a great time, I'm going to go in. But what the Americans said, I'm not blaming Americans, but I will say what they said had a big influence on his deciding to go in. Yeah.
When Elon Musk met with Prime Minister Modi earlier today, did he do so as an American CEO or did he do so as a representative of the U.S. government?
Are you talking about me?
No, Elon Musk.
Elon, I don't know. They met. And I assume he wants to do business in India. But India is a very hard place to do business in because of the tariffs. They have the highest tariffs just about in the world, and it's a hard place to do business. No, I would imagine he met possibly because, you know, he's running a company. He's doing this as something that he's felt strongly about for a long time because he sees what's happening, and he sees how the country is really being hurt badly by all of the fraud, waste and abuse. Yeah.
Well, obviously too that he's being targeted constantly, right? Ever since Elon Musk did the whole SpaceX and Tesla shit, right? And then fucking right, and then the fucking Twitter, right? He's been right. Everybody's been constantly talking about him and getting on his case about shit, right? You have fucking right fanatics. You have people trying to chase him down. Sometimes right. He is one of those people where he is a very wealthy and intelligent person because he has these businesses.
With the CEO or meeting with a representative of your government?
Well, he's meeting with me in a little while, so I'm going to ask him that question. All right, I'll ask him that question. Yeah.
On auto tariffs, what should we expect, sir? You mentioned obviously steel and aluminum and pharmaceuticals. What are you thinking about auto tariffs? We haven't talked about that much.
I think autos are coming soon. I think they're all coming more or less at the same time. And it's not going to be a big shock to the system. But what it's going to do is it's going to bring pharmaceuticals back to our country. Much more important than the money. It's a lot of money, but it's going to bring pharmaceuticals back to our country. It's going to bring chips back to our country. It's going to bring automobiles.
Yeah, so basically he's saying all the right, everything we're doing is in the hopes that people will take the deal, right, and come back and put facilities back in America, right, and start producing back in America. And then they can, right, be, have some, save some money while doing so.
We're going to do a lot more automobile manufacturing in our country. You know, when I announced this during the campaign, They were going to build the largest car plant in the world in Mexico. It was almost under construction. It was just starting. And when they heard me make that statement, and they thought I was going to win the election, actually, it was a few months before the election itself. China was building the car plant. It was going to be the largest in the world. They immediately stopped construction. You can see the foundations there. They immediately stopped. When they heard I was doing this, that would have destroyed Detroit. It would have destroyed Michigan. This plant would have taken up more than almost the whole state built. And it would have been very destructive. When they heard me speak, and they said, "Wow, if he gets in, we're gonna lose our shirt." So they stopped building. That's the impact that tariffs have. Again, you know, I say it, and I say it loudly. It's the most beautiful word, but now I say religion, love, and a couple of other things are more beautiful, because I got a lot of problem with the fake news when they said, oh, other things are more important. God
I mean,
is
yeah,
more important. But
right.
these are the
Tariffs could
words.
make or break a
But I
country
would say
from
it's
trying
number
to
4 or
step
5.
in
To me,
from an
it's-
outside,
it's the most beautiful.
right,
And I'll tell
outside
you what,
country
I
to
think really
push
reciprocal
in.
tariffs, those 2 words,
Kinda like a fucking
reciprocal
proxy.
makes tariffs really fair.
There'd be no exemptions, right? It would be all auto imports?
Any exemptions now, because you don't need to. With reciprocal, you don't need to.
Mr. President, Gavin Klager just arrived at the IRS.
Fox Radio. Do you have a update on the TikTok negotiations? And
Yeah,
kind
we have a lot of
that
people.
timeline's running out, isn't it?
Sure, well, I have 90 days from about 2 weeks ago, right? And I'm sure it can be extended, but let's see, I don't think you'll need to. We have a lot of people interested in TikTok, and I hope to be able to make a deal. I think it would be good. You know, people have learned it's very popular, and we'll have to probably get approval from China to do it, but we have a lot of people that are interested, and a lot of people, I think China will be interested because it's to their benefit too. So I look forward to that, but we have a lot of people that are interested in TikTok, quite a few.
Mr. President, Doge workers arrived today, Gavin Klager and others arrived today at the IRS. Do you expect to close the IRS, or what are you expecting?
No, I don't.
What?
expect
You
it,
can't
but-
close the
but
IRS? What?
I think that the Internal Revenue Service will be looked at like everybody else. Just about everybody's going to be looked at. So it's they're doing a hell of a job. It's an amazing job they're doing. And you know, that force is building. I call it the force of super geniuses, but it's building. And you know, they go up and they
Why
talk
would
to
you
some of the people
gut
about certain
the
deals, and
IRS?
people
What
get
the
all tongue-tied. They can't
I mean,
talk.
look, don't get me wrong. The
Because these
IRS
people
kind
get
of
it. They're very
is
smart people.
lame sometimes,
smart
but
people.
I mean, it has to do its job.
Yeah, Brian.
Yes, sir.
It's
Mr.
just that
President,
we
I know
just
that
wish
during
the
the
IRS
campaign,
had a
it was
better
huge in
system at
Pennsylvania
doing
as
its
far as
fucking
bringing
job,
back
because sometimes it's
manufacturing.
fucking
Have you talked to any
stupid.
CEOs since the tariffs were announced on steel and aluminum? What's the feedback from those guys?
They are in love with it, as you know. In Pennsylvania, U.S. Steel is through the roof. They're
Right,
all through the
the
roof.
way-
That's why I didn't want U.S.
right.
Steel to make a deal.
The way we have to do our taxes sometimes in America is so fucking stupid, right? And it's different from state to state too. It's so fucking annoying. They just need to fix the fucking system. That's all they have to do. Just fix the system, but just make it easy for everyone. Just tell people what the fuck they need to pay. Stop making it so hard to fucking do shit. Like, why are you doing this?
Japan or anybody else, I think it's going to do great. But I think
Like,
maybe
you're
more than
already
anybody else, the steel companies.
you're already gaining all this information on us through our fucking right. If people have credit card purchases, right, receipt purchases, stuff like that. Come on.
Aluminum companies, they're in love with what's happened, and this will eventually be the car companies and chip companies. We have to have chips made in this country. Right now, everything's made in Taiwan practically, almost all of it, a little bit in South Korea, but everything, almost all of it is made in Taiwan. And we want it to be made. We want those companies to come to our country, in all due respect. You know, they took the business away. Taiwan took our chip business away. We had Intel, we had these great companies that did so well, and it was taken.
Yeah, they went all to Taiwan.
And we want that business back. We want it back in the United States. And if they don't bring it back, we're not going to be very happy.
And you
Sir, on
mentioned
tariffs, are you-
pharmaceuticals as well in China. That's national security to bring that back.
China and other places, we want to get the pharmaceutical and drug business back into the United States, where it should be. right?
Sir, on tariffs, are you concerned that the countries that would be most affected, like India, would just shift their trading to China?
No, I'm not concerned about anything, really. I mean, I'm just doing what's fair. This is a very fair thing. This should have been done a long time ago. I would have done it, but then COVID hit. I was getting ready to do this years ago, and first term we had the most successful economy in history, and then COVID hit, and this was going to be the.
Apparently, this was already right. Some of this stuff was apparently his plan from the beginning of his first term, but at the same time, it's hard to tell, right?
Thing that I was most waiting to do, but
I mean, he has been biding his time for
France and Spain
for
and
what for
all those people were dying, and then put tariffs
his first
on.
presidency, and then he had to wait
heart.
4 years.
Ukraine, when Putin says that he really wants peace, do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I believe he wants peace. I believe that President Putin, when I spoke to him yesterday, I mean, I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't. I'd like to see peace.
Do you trust President Putin?
I believe that, I believe that he would like to see something happen. I trust him on this subject.
Like, I don't think.
I think he'd
right,
like to see
to
something.
be honest, I don't think any of these politicians are inherently bad. It's just right. They have very tough choices to make, and they're right doing it for the good of their right sovereign nation.
Thing happened. I think it could have happened a long time ago. I think Biden, number one, it shouldn't have started, but it did. And now all those cities are knocked down, like demolition sites. All those beautiful golden towers are knocked down. There's nothing going to replace them. But
I mean,
much more
Putin
importantly, you
probably
lost
done
millions
some
of
horrible
people.
shit, right?
A lot of
I mean, all
soldiers,
these
but you
people
lost
have.
millions
Let's
of
be
people.
real.
When they
They
knock
make
down those
choices
cities,
that
and they're all laying
fucking
down on the side. They're lying down.
You kill
just,
people in an instant, right?
In ashes, and
Literally.
all crumbled up concrete. They literally look like a world-class demolition site. And many of them, almost all of them, but many of them, and this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Who else? Yes, please.
Buyer in the United States for TikTok. Do you think Xi Jinping will authorize the sale of it, or will he?
I'm going to make it worthwhile for China to do it. I think so. I mean, I got to know TikTok because during the election, I ended up with 36% higher than my opponent with youth. Okay, that never happened before. That's always been a Democrat thing, youth. It became a Trump thing. And I think TikTok, I think Joe Rogan was a part of it. Some of the great people that I did interviews with were a part of it. But I think that TikTok
Trump's
was
like, oh yeah, the interviews really
it
helped.
was a big part. Look, as you know, we were up by 36% with youth. The Republican was never up with youth. And I focused on TikTok, and I found it to be
That is
amazing,
true.
actually, and
Right,
very
the youth
fair.
don't
And
really go to the youth aren't really conservative, right? In that aspect, the youth are probably more in line with democratic beliefs. At least I was when I was younger.
I think
I
the
still
image
hold some of
TikTok
those
is
democratic
different than it was
beliefs,
before
but
the election. I think people saw it and they view it as a positive, not a negative.
I mean, I do have
I think it'll be
libertarian
to
beliefs,
China's
democratic
advantage
beliefs,
to
conservative beliefs, right?
have the deal be made. Yeah.
How much money do you think you'll raise from tariffs on an annual basis?
That's the most interesting question. I think it'll be a staggering amount. It will be the external, I call it the External Revenue Service. That was a name that was devised by a few of us, but I think it's going to be a staggering amount.
We've heard the number $1 trillion floated in meetings with senators. Is that a number you thought of?
I don't know, but already the Senate's saying, well, wait a minute, they're looking at some of the numbers and they're saying, whoa, look, we want to, I say America first, I say make America great again. That's what we're doing. I think it's the most important thing I've signed. I've signed some very important things. Right to try was so important. I mean, a lot of important things. Space Force, the biggest tax cuts in history. This could be one of the most important things that we've ever signed.
Do you expect the Russians and President Putin to attend the summit in Saudi Arabia?
Eventually, yeah. Not quite yet. It's a little early. They're having a meeting in Munich tomorrow. Russia is going to be there with our people. Ukraine is also invited, by the way. Not sure exactly who's going to be there from any country, but high-level people from Russia, from Ukraine, and from the United States.
Do you want to add Russia back to the G7, sir?
I'd love to have them back. I think it was a mistake to throw them out. Look, it's not a question of liking Russia or not liking Russia. It was the G8, and you know, I said, what are you doing? You guys, all you talk about is Russia, and they should be sitting at the table. I think Putin would love to be back. Obama.
Yeah, you called it right. You make this committee of nations, and then you kick one of the nations out because you wanted to talk about that nation and talk about what's been going on in that nation, but you kick them out. It's like, what the fuck?
Of other people made a mistake and they got Russia out. It's very possible that if that was the G8, you wouldn't have had the problem with Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, this
and
is
if I was president,
man.
you
This is also the issue with NATO, right? NATO should be absolved by now, right? They shouldn't be operating anymore ever since fucking World War II and fucking, right, the Cold War. They should be done by now. But with Putin and everything, they don't want to give up their power. I mean, it's not, right, I would say you just need to repurpose NATO, because NATO doesn't fulfill its goals anymore, right? Because it's long gone. That shit was back in 19 fucking right. That was back in the early 1900s. Why are we still using NATO? You need to repurpose that shit. Right, all those fuckers are doing weird shit with NATO. It needs to be overhauled. It needs a new purpose, basically.
You wouldn't have had the problem with Ukraine. Russia
Right, because
would have never
it's
attacked
not
Ukraine.
doing what it should be doing
you asked
anymore.
A very good question. The G8. It used to be the G8, and then these people threw them out. And I was arguing with Trudeau and with numerous of the people. Actually, Prime Minister Abe, a great man from Japan, agreed with me 100%, and some of the others did too. But I got there, it was the G7, as you know. They had already been terminated. I think it would have been very helpful, and it still would be helpful to have Russia be a part of that mix. And I think if they were, I don't think you would have had the problem that you have right now.
Russia
is part of the
because
G20.
They kicked them out, of course, because they illegally annexed Crimea. I mean, how would you have responded if Russia invaded or
Well,
took over?
they took Crimea during Obama. They took, well, now they're looking to take the whole thing. Then they took a big chunk of land and people, as you know, during Bush.
It's true. Yeah, during Obama, they took Crimea, right? And then there was more disputes over Crimea, right? It kept trading hands.
And now they're trying to take the whole thing during Biden. You know, the only one that didn't give them anything is Trump. They never took anything with Trump. Nothing, not 2 inches of property of land. But Crimea was Obama. And then Bush gave them a lot, if you remember. And then, in fact, it's a sort of a standard little phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Biden's
Bush,
giving them
Obama.
everything because this is a war that shouldn't have been had. And the only one that didn't give them anything is Trump. It's just the way it is.
Oh, man, he's gassing himself up. I mean, it's true, though.
There hasn't been very much, and I think it's going to make the United States stronger, and in many ways it could make other countries stronger, too. You know, other countries want to have a strong United States. They want to have a strong America. And I think it's going to make us very, very strong, much stronger. And we have a lot of work we're doing on the military. Our military already, I've authorized some contracts to be built that are very substantial. We're building the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest military equipment in the world. We're building it. At some point, when things settle down, I'm going to meet with China. And I'm going to meet with Russia in particular, those two, and I'm going to say there's no reason for us to be spending almost $1 trillion on military. There's no reason for you to be spending $400 billion. China's going to be at $400 billion. We're at $1 trillion. We're going to be at close to $1 trillion. And I'm going to say we can settle this on, we can spend this on other things. We don't have to spend this on military because, and I'm going to be meeting with China. You know, we were trying to de-escalate nuclear, and I was in a position where Russia had agreed and China had agreed we were going to start, and then we had a rigged election, so that never took place. But this one was too big to rig. We won by so much that it was too big to rig.
You want to do the China meeting in the United States, or would you travel to China for that?
For what?
The China meeting. Would you do that here or
I
there?
tell people all the time, you know, the question is who's going to have the first meeting, where are you going to, I say this to Putin, to President Xi, I say to everybody, never bothered me, you know, I'm willing to say I'll go first. It doesn't matter. It's the end result that counts. So it doesn't make any difference.
When do you want to have a conversation about global defense spending, you, China,
Well, I'd
Russia?
like to have that as soon as things
Good
settle
answer. It's the end result that counts. All right.
down. I'm going to have that conference primarily with China and
I mean,
Russia
because
those are-
right, if you were thinking in like a right, I guess you could be thinking like in chess, right? Is it a good idea to initiate the conversation first or not, right? Just like, I mean, look, you guys are powerhouses in this fucking world. Like, you gotta make a choice.
those are the two that really are out there.
And you guys are gonna
we're
probably
gonna
have to
them
talk
spend
at
a lot
one
less
point.
money, and we're going to spend a lot less money, and I know they're going to do it. They agreed to it. We were talking about denuclearizing, and President Putin and I agreed that we were going to do it in a very big way. There's no reason for us to be building brand new nuclear weapons. We already have so many you could destroy the world 50 times over, 100 times over. And here we are building new nuclear weapons, and they're building nuclear weapons. and China's building nuclear-
Yeah, it's like everyone's still building fucking missiles and shit. When we already have a bunch of missiles that can fucking kill everyone. It's like, dude, why are we doing this?
nuclear weapons, and China's trying to catch up because, you know, they're very substantially behind, but within 5 or 6 years they'll be even. And we're all spending a lot of money that we could be spending on other things that are actually hopefully much more productive. Hopefully there'll never be a time when we need those weapons. If there's ever a time when we need nuclear weapons, like the kind of weapons that we're building and that Russia has and that China has to a lesser extent but will have, that's going to be a very sad day. That's going to be probably oblivion.
Do you see that as separate conversations, or do you see one giant summit with you, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, I could see that. Let things calm down a little bit. You know, when I left, we had no Middle East problem. We had no Russia going into Ukraine. They never would have done it. Putin never would have done it. And I came back, and we got like the whole world is blowing up. So when we straighten it all out, then I want to have one of the first meetings I want to have is with President Xi of China, President Putin of Russia, and I want to say, let's cut our military budget in half. And we can do that. And I think we'll be able to do it.
If Elon Musk identifies wasteful spending in the Defense Department, defense contractors and the like, are you willing to go after that spending as well? That's been
We have to go waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah, and we're doing that.
Could we, you know, I'm just wondering
Waste,
about your
fraud, and
conversations on defense
abuse.
spending. Would you want to do that as a trilateral, or would you use the existing body that also already includes China and Russia, the G20?
I know, it's the people. It's President Putin, President Xi. I don't need bodies. I don't need anything. It's people. It's all about people. It's about relationship and people. And, you know, I've had a good relationship with President Putin. I've had a good relationship with President Xi. It's about people. And I think when things straighten out, which I hope will be in the not too distant future, the meeting I want to have first is a meeting with China and a meeting with Russia on slowing down, stopping, and reducing nuclear weapons in particular, and also on not having to spend the kind of money we're all spending on weapons, military weapons.
Yeah, I mean, we're
question is-
fucking the amount of money we're spending in fucking weapons alone is fucking insane. And it's just non-stop research and development into new ways to fucking blow shit up.
Would you have meetings separately?
Like,
with each
Jesus
of those
fuck,
leaders, or
man.
Would you try to bring them all together?
Both. You start off separately, and that's what was happening. I was
Hey, we
dealing
gotta
with
stop
President Putin.
trying to fucking
We
blow
had
his
really
show.
an understanding where we were going to
Look,
denuclearize.
I like fire. I like explosives, but Jesus fuck, man.
Beautiful
I don't want to
term, that
get
is,
fucking
right?
killed by
Denuclearize.
one.
What a great thing if we could do that. And we were going to He really liked the idea, and so did I. And we had then called China, and China was very open to it. And then COVID hit, and then we had a rigged election. But now there was no rigged election. Now we have a
There's no
an
rigged
election that was too
election.
big to rig. That's what my whole theme was.
There's
too
no
big to
rigged
rig. And
election.
They tried, but
They
didn't pull it off.
tried.
Sir, as part of the reciprocal
They
tariffs,
tried to
would
get
you also
old-
direct agencies
old
to
Trump.
study the
They
impact they would
tried.
have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. The United States is going to become a very, very strong economically country. Yeah.
Mr. President, in the past you have
Shit.
spoken against BRICS. India is
America's
part of
gonna
BRICS.
be
Do you want to
economically
dismantle
well.
BRICS, or you want to
Economic.
I don't care, but BRICS was put there for a bad purpose, and most of those people don't want it. They don't even want to talk about it now. They're afraid to talk about it.
No, wait, what happened to the BRICS nations? What happened?
Because I told them if they want to play games with the dollar, then they're going to be hit with a 100% tariff.
Oh. Yeah, it was interesting what they were trying to do with the BRICS nations. I don't know if they were trying to hit the dollar the way they were trying to do, right? Who knows? Maybe they were trying to have another, right, power take the lead in being the dominant currency in terms of conversion and stuff like that, but who knows?
The day they mentioned that they want to do it, and they will come back and
Trade
say,
wars!
we
Trade
beg you not to
wars!"
do this. BRICS is dead since I mentioned that. BRICS died the minute I mentioned that. And I remember when Obama...
It was what, on his first day? Dude, when he brought up the BRICS stuff, I was all like, oh shit, he's actually reading that shit.
Biden in particular, I guess he said that, they have us over a barrel. They don't have us over a barrel. We have them over a barrel. If BRICS wants to play games, those countries won't trade with us. We won't trade with them. And if any trading gets through, it'll be 100% tariff at least.
On your
What would
cabinet,
be
When they hear that, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, look what happened to BRICS. They didn't want to talk about it. They don't even want to admit that they were a member of BRICS. That's what's happened.
on your cabinet, sir.
Yeah,
we
I
saw
did. Yeah, you
Robert
don't
F.
really.
Kennedy Jr. get
Now that I
confirmed.
think about it, they don't really do any new stuff on the whole BRICS stuff, right? None of those nations, I don't think, have broadcasted a lot of stuff on like their whole events and gatherings either. Yeah, BRICS Summit. Yeah, they had a summit. Yeah, they had a summit in 2024. Yeah, three months ago. Yeah. Also, I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say what they were trying to do with the BRICS nation, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, United States. Deeper ties between nations and cooperate on economic bridge BRICS. DEI.
He's gonna come
I'm
in
just
here and be
kidding.
sworn in. Mitch McConnell has now voted against several of your nominees. He voted against RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that he wanted to go to the end and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped. 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it. He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even, and that's saying a lot. But the fact is that he raised money and he gave a lot of money to senators, and so he had a little loyalty based on the fact that as leader you could raise a lot of money. Senators would call me and they say, he wants to give me 20, 25 million, can I take it? I'd say, take the money, take the money. But so he engendered a certain amount of, I don't even call it loyalty. He was able to get votes. But I was the one that got him to drop out of the leadership position, so he can't love me. But he's not voting against Bobby, he's voting against me, but that's all right. He endorsed me. Do you know that Mitch endorsed me, right?
Well, he did.
You think that was easy? What?
He had polio, obviously, and his.
I don't know anything about he had polio. He had polio.
Wait, oh, he had polio, so he voted for, like, what? Oh, just because he had what? Bitch, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
I have no idea if he had polio. All I can tell you about him is that he shouldn't have been leader. He knows that. He voted against Bobby. He votes against almost everything now. He's a very bitter guy. And we have a very strong party. And he's almost not even really a very powerful member. I'd say he's not he's lost his power. And it's affected his vote. And, it's one of those things. But in the meantime, Bobby did great, got more votes than anybody thought. And I think he's going to do phenomenally, just phenomenally in that position. And everybody else likewise did well. Not only well, they got more votes than...
Like, having a, I hate to say it, but having a senator who has polio, dude, you're just a fucking red target for fucking spies to fucking shellac you in the back of the head, dude. It's fucking... Like, given what's happened with Trump and his assassination and fucking Pelosi getting that weird fucking weirdo attacking the husband, right? Like, you guys are the stupidest motherfuckers possible. Like, you guys have no sense of fucking self-preservation whatsoever. You guys... Like, if a fucking murderer came in there and fucked you up, you wouldn't fucking... You'd just lay there and fucking take it. Like, some of these people just lack the awareness of just how bad the situation is right now.
Marco got 99 votes. How about that? And Marco got 99 votes. And Marco, by the way, I have to tell you, Marco Rubio's done a fantastic job. He's been
at any point in time, at one of these days, right? Someone's planning to do fucking some fucked up shit, and that's it. You're fucked.
And the man behind me is doing a fantastic job, Secretary of Commerce. And I think you're going to see something very big come from today's signing. This is going to be a very important signing. Okay.
On U.S. Steel, sir, can I ask very quickly? You said you'd meet with the head of that company and the Japanese company.
U.S. Steel is going to be here, and a lot of the steel companies are coming. I think steel companies, they love what's happening to them. We saved it. If I didn't do the tariffs from my first term, you wouldn't have one steel company here. You wouldn't have one steel. There wouldn't be a steel company alive in the United States. And right now, they're going to be thriving. They're doing very well, but they're going to be thriving. They're going to be coming out. People are going to want to buy those steel companies like crazy.
Are you still planning to mediate talks between Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel?
Yeah, I don't know. I think U.S. Steel right now has all the power. The tariffs have given U.S. Steel a new lease on
What's
life.
Nippons?
Okay.
Is that the
Thank you all very
Japanese
much.
steel?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go.
Let's go, guys.
No, it's worldwide leading cable. Oh, is this China? Oh, yeah, it is Japan. Okay. Yeah, that's so. I was like, Nippon. That sounds like. The Japanese steel is, I mean, that makes sense. Them swordsmiths know how to do them katanas, you know.